Hi guys. Sorry about that. We're getting some feedback.
Oh, hi guys.
There we go. I want to welcome you guys to Speak Podcast, episode 12. We're here, we're live, it's all good. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for being in the chat. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday. Of course, we have Luca with us today.
Hey, what's up, guys? So happy that all of you are here. Excited for these topics. Excited, for today, I suppose. No, I'm just kidding. I'm excited.
I mean, you better be excited. Come on. Come
Yes,
on.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I love you, Luke. I'm just kidding.
I love you too.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So today we have a special guest with us today. Why did I just say today twice? Wow.
Today we have a special guest for us today. Interesting.
Look.
I wouldn't have noticed unless you the fact that you pointed it out. I didn't
Great.
notice
So
until you pointed it out.
told him.
So you
myself,
added
basically.
yourself.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay. Great. I do that a lot, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a special guest with us today, and we're excited to have someone that isn't part of the gaming podcast world. I know it's not the usual, guys. We've done this before and it went well. So, don't worry. You don't have to worry that you don't know this person. But we're excited to have some special topics to talk about today. And hopefully you guys will be into it. I'm kind of nervous, I guess, which is unusual for me. But the topics that we have for you today are kind of different than usual. And I guess we'll figure out if all of you are into them.
Wow, this is kind of weird. You're all hesitant and unsure of yourself. What's up with that?
I mean,
Listen, ma'am. Listen. Show's gonna be great. They're gonna love it. And yeah, it's gonna be all good, guys. Right? You're gonna love it, right?
I mean,
Catch me on Twitter if you don't.
oh, threats. So we do have Joy with us today. Joy, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm fine. How's everybody else doing?
Good.
Oh, great.
We're excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Yay. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Joy. I am a current third year PhD candidate at Rutgers University. I'm studying issues of identity and social movements or social change for that matter. And I'm particularly interested in the fat acceptance, fat liberation movement. And how that has been working in society as a whole, and then historically the impact that it's had in the realm of social movements. So I do that as a student. I also teach. Currently, we're at the tail end of the third session at Rutgers for accelerated courses. And so I'm teaching two of those courses for undergrads. So I'm teaching that, and I guess when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to have a life, which can be a little hard sometimes when you're not reading, studying, writing, and teaching other people. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much me in a nutshell right now, as far as what I do.
Nice. It's super exciting to have someone who is sort of, I mean, think about it. The amount of time you spend on a particular subject determines whether you're, a professional, And
Right.
so the amount of research that you must be doing, I consider you a professional on the topic of, bodies and self-image and things like that, because not a lot of people, when you focus and research, you learn a lot, and like you learn more than the average person. What do they say, that you need 2 years of doing one thing to be considered a professional?
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then that's good. That's great. But oddly enough, in a lot of ways, it's almost like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And so oftentimes, I find myself in in spaces like, yeah, I know I did search this, I know I researched it, I know I've written papers or whatever on it, but I still don't know as much as someone else. And so I actually kind of consider myself in some ways coming into considering how long fat liberation has kind of existed around us. There are people that have been involved in this way longer than I have. I feel like I'm kind of coming up on the kind of like the tail end of things. But I do try to contribute what I have. And so I'm grateful for that, particularly in academic spaces where this is not a topic that is readily, I guess, discussed or, honestly or openly accepted as other things. So
not really recognized.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So let's start this. Let's get into our first segment, which is, of course, the questions. So here we ask questions so that you guys can get to know us, and sometimes they're fun, sometimes they get real heated. We've had them get super heated in the beginning. So the first question is, what was your first job? Luca, what was yours?
I worked at Cold Stone Creamery. It's an ice cream shop.
Oh my god, I love that place. Okay.
Yeah, it was dope. It was my friend's dad owned the shop, so he got me a job there, and I learned a couple things. I learned that I hate people from from that job. I've had so many instances of but why though? Working there, so I've had people some nonsense. I've had to deal with some nonsense, and since I was very different back then. I was quieter, calmer. I didn't express my feelings or my emotions. So when things happened that upset me, I just wouldn't say anything. Or if people were being rude or any of that stuff, I wouldn't say anything. So there was a lot of that going on, and I've had a lot of people say and do things that just have me like, man, you're lucky that you're just lucky that 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 I am a different person, lucky that I was a different person back then, because I wouldn't have tolerated the nonsense I went through.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me, the only thing I want to know, how much ice cream did you eat, huh?
I ate a bunch because you got a 25% discount on the days you didn't work.
25%?
Yeah, on the days you didn't work, and then the days you did work, it was a 50% discount. So.
Oh my god. Yo. I don't know how. I would never be able to work in a place like that. I mean, then again, I might get sick of ice cream if that's the case, because that happens to me. If I eat something too much, I get sick of it. But I've been on an ice cream binge the last few weeks, years. No, but for some reason, I've been craving ice cream a lot lately, and I'm just like, dude, might wanna. I mean, I've been doing well with self-control and not being ridiculous about it. I'll only have maybe one cone per day, but
one cone per day.
If I have a one that day, then I'll have one, but it's not every day, luckily, although it could be
okay,
but I don't deny myself the pleasures of life, which is
that's good.
Anyhow, let's move on before I get made fun of for my ice cream obsession. Although, let me just let you guys know that right now it's ice cream, but usually it's something different every month. I have a weird thing where I go through obsessions of junk food. So yeah, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, you don't say. I had no idea. I didn't notice it all.
Anyhow, moving on. What was your first job, Joy?
My first job was, I actually had a writing position at the Keystone Economic Development Center. I still remember the name, in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And it was 1998, I think. So I had to get my working papers because I wasn't old enough to work yet. And all of that stuff. But at the time, I thought I thought I was going to be rich, because I think they paid $250 every 2 weeks. And so we would write articles for a local newsletter, and it was a summer job. And I remember, you know, I would not want to go back and read what I wrote back then, but it was like, you know, as far as I was concerned, like I was living the high life. I was going to the mall, getting my hair done every 2 weeks.
Hey.
Took my sister, me and my sister. I have two sisters, but me and my younger sister, we wound up going. Like I took her school shopping at the end of the summer. Like, you know, I guess it was like an opportunity for me to kind of be as close to a grown up as I could be, and so, you know, I did that. There was no ice cream involved though, so I guess that was a drawback.
Wow, that was nice of you to take your sister shopping. I would have been like, bye, I'm gonna get myself some things.
Yeah, but you know, it was like, you know, I'm cool, so if you gonna roll with me, you gotta be cool too. And
oh my god,
somebody gotta foot the bill. So
that's true.
You know, that sort of thing.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I had the same situation where I had to get working papers because I was in high school when I had my first job. But unfortunately, your job sounds a lot better because my job was at a shoe store. Yes, a shoe store, which means I had to smell stinky feet and like help old people put their shoes on. And
I mean, if anything, it prepared you for your life of dealing with public transportation.
Oh,
you
God.
know? So you should be.
Oh, God.
You should be.
I just
you
can't.
Be thankful.
Especially because I hate feet. Like, why am I working at a shoe store? Like, what? This makes no sense. And of course, I've had like there was this one situation where an old woman came in the store, and I was like, you know, oh, like, yeah, hi, do you need help? And she was like, hi, yes, would you be able to get me these shoes and these shoes and these shoes and these shoes and these shoes? And literally, like, I had to walk up the steps because the shoes storage was in the basement, and I had to walk up the steps with like 10 different boxes, and then she didn't buy anything. Yo, when I say, like, she didn't buy anything, like, she had me put the shoes on her foot for her, fucking help her, like, because for some reason she couldn't do it by herself. You know, she's old, like, poor thing, was walking with a cane, but she didn't buy anything, and I'm just, like, sitting here, like, lady, you, why? Don't do this to me, please. But yeah, that's how life is, I guess. Disappointing. Especially when you work on commission, like, that was a thing there. You have to, who sold the most shoes? Yeah, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Oh, God.
Yeah, anyhow, next question. What texting pet peeves do you have, Luca? Tell me.
Well, I mean, yeah, I feel like you already know because you hit on every single one of them.
The inspiration for this question here, guys, if you didn't know.
Oh, my God. Like, I have a lot of pet peeves in general, but one of my texting pet peeves is if I'm talking to you and I'm being long-winded and I say a bunch of stuff, right? And then you just respond with LOL, I'm just going to want to strangle you. I just want to strangle you. And Blue knows I don't like that. So you know what she does? She just keeps spamming LOL over and over again. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, is this a joke? Are you playing?
No.
Oh, my God. Another one that I have, and it's kind of like just a weird thing in general. If I tell you that I love you, I don't want like any fucking abbreviations, okay? If you love me too, spell it out so I can appreciate it fully. The LUV and then the U and all that stuff, I'm like, bruh, like, what is this? If I can spell it out, you can spell it out too. And I get that sometimes people don't want to spell it out properly because it's like, maybe it just seems too intense, but I personally would appreciate it. I find that annoying. Another thing I find annoying is listen, I can go on about this for days. Listen. If you are talking to me, and which is fine, like, you know, go ahead and talk to me and all that stuff. Don't send me multiple text messages with like one sentence that are one sentence long, okay? Give me a long paragraph length sentence and then send the next part, okay? Because I don't want to wake up to 50 notifications and each text says, hey, space, how are you? Space, how's it going? Space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get back to me. And I'm like, bruh, what is this? So that's something that always bothers me.
I feel like people...
and also, and I'm not done yet. Also, if you know how to spell properly, spell properly when you're talking to me. It's okay if you like, you know what? Like, listen, I will give certain people passes, but for the most part, proper English is appreciated, people. Don't use, I mean, oh my God. Just, you know, all that stuff. All right.
I mean, I was just gonna say that I feel like people treat texting now as if it's like instant messenger. You know, you remember those days where you would just like type, send, type, send on AIM and shit. Like, I don't know. I used to do that, but I try not to when I'm texting. But I do the LOL thing all the time. Like,
Yeah, she does. It's so annoying. And I'm like, Blue, I don't like that. Like, why are you doing this? Is this payback? Is this payback for your nickname? Is that what it is? Because I have you on my phone.
Oh my god.
Because I have you in my phone as, you know what it is. You know.
She has me in her phone, guys, as Honey Butt. Can
With a heart.
someone explain to me why she thinks that's cute?
It is cute. Are you kidding me?
Okay,
It's
Joy.
adorable.
Joy doesn't know the story. Joy. One time I was writing in a chat and I was saying hi to people. And I was like, hey, just eating Honey Nut Cheerios. And then my fucking autocorrect put it as Honey Butt Cheerios.
Oh.
And so I told that story on Speak previously. And yeah, Luca thinks it's cute to use it against me and call me Honey Butt now.
It is cute. It's adorable.
I'm like, why did your phone configure honey butt?
I don't know. I don't know why my phone does this shit to me. It happens all the time. All the time. And when I'm trying to be serious and I'm just like, you don't fucking understand. And then it just puts like ducking. And I'm like, oh my God. People are just going to laugh at me when I'm trying to be serious. You know? Anyhow. So yeah. What texting pet peeves do you have, Joy?
Typos. I have a problem with people who cannot spell correctly. I mean, okay, so here's the thing, right? And I'm guilty of it because, you know, if you got a touch screen, like sometimes you know, a M becomes an N, something like that. But people who like spell wrong a lot and like the letters aren't together, like what, like why didn't you proofread this? Like, so for me, like I have a problem with people, especially like if your text message is only like 5 words, like you really couldn't like you didn't have time to look over what you just sent and make sure that like it's understandable. Like I have friends who have sent me things that I have no idea what they were trying to say. So then that means I have to send you a text to ask you to clarify, only for you to send me another text that still has typos in it. Like obviously the typos are the problem, but you don't proofread to send, you don't proofread it before you send it back again. Like that bothers me. And then I guess the other thing that I would have, like if I text you something and it's like you can read the text and see that it's pertinent, but like you still choose to like text like long times after, like you just gonna take your time and reply, like that grinds my gears a little bit. Like if I'm asking you for a number, if I ask you something that like needs to be answered right away, like, and I know like on some level it's understandable people have lives and I get that, but on some level, like, dude, you looked at your phone at some point, you know there's a text message there, your little thingy is blinking, the notification lets you know something is going on. Like glance, let me know what it is, and then send me a text back so I'm not like, I'm not stranded waiting on you. Other than that, I mean, like I can relate to some of the like spell it out like I love you things, or like I think because I don't know, me personally, like, yeah, I need to know that you feel exactly the same way. And so if I say I love you, do not send me back no like kissy face. Like that's not good enough. Like
Facts.
I need to, I need to see the words, because the words matter, or else I wouldn't have taken the time to send you the words. I typed it out for a reason. So, I mean, I think those are probably those things bother me the most out of everything.
Well, you guys definitely hit it on the head. Now Luca's telling everybody in chat to call me Honey Butt.
Well, you told everyone to tweet at me some nonsense, so
you know what? Fine, call me Honey Butt. Fine, whatever. I won't respond to you though. So you guys hit, I think, everything that I usually hate, but I feel like if I'm getting an echo again. If I'm texting you, right, There's no reason why I should be freaking, if I'm texting someone, I don't want to call you, obviously, right? But if you're texting me about something that's not clear, then why don't you just call? You know what I mean? Because if we do that whole back and forth,
if we're texting, you don't want to talk to me on the phone?
Hell no, I don't want to talk to you on the phone. I never want to talk to you on the phone.
I mean, we talk on the phone at least 4 times a week, but all right, that's fine, I guess.
Oh my god. I'm saying, like, sometimes there's things that we don't need to text about. Like, if it's a quick, like, hey, did you see this? Hey, yeah, I did. That's it. Like, there's no, you know, but, like, if it's something that's confusing, like, or a serious thing, like, why are you texting me about it? Like, call, if you have to talk to someone about something serious, you should probably call them. No one likes to call anymore. I understand people don't like to be talking on the phone, but I think it's important for things, especially things that can get lost in translation, because there's lots of things that are taken out of context and people get confused about and things like that. So when that happens, I think it's important to just like call somebody, you know?
Yeah, and I can say I'm kind of guilty of, like, so me and my boyfriend, we would text. Like, you know, like there's a problem like when your text message turns into like the MMS thing. So like we would write mini novels, like just text, like block text. And it could have been discussed in a half an hour. Like, honestly, but so I think like sometimes there's that thing of like, okay, why didn't you just call and say what you needed to say? Like, now I gotta read all of this, respond to all of this, like, and we all have lives, and why not? Like, you're sending me like the data that it's taking to send this text message, like your text message has turned into a picture. Like, why not just like pick up the phone and be like, okay, let me say this, so that I couldn't, you know, I didn't have a chance. It would have been easier for me to say it. And like, that's what's bad. And then we would talk on the phone and be like, yeah, we could have said this like in a half an hour. And did it change the fact that like we went back to texting novels? No, it did not. It just meant that we text novels and then we called like on top of that. And so I agree that sometimes it's just easier to like stop pushing buttons and like make a phone call. It's going to be a whole lot easier to do than sending super long text messages.
Yeah, I've noticed that people just don't like to call anymore. Now, I'm not sure what that is exactly. Because the thing of it is, it's like, I do party chat with a lot of my friends on like Xbox and all that stuff, but it's like, when it comes to phone calls, a lot of people just don't want to do that. And I'm like, it's basically the same thing. And I don't really get it. Like, you know, I don't really get it. Like, I've called one of my friends, Aaron, one time, and he was like, hello? Even though I talk to him all the time on my Xbox. So it's like, I think it's weird, but, you know, I'm used to talking on the phone now because I had a job as a telecom operator. So my entire 8 hours was me talking to people on the phone. And before that, I used to have like really bad anxiety about doing stuff like that. So maybe that contributes to that. I'm not really sure what it is exactly, but no one really wants to talk on the phone anymore. And I've like had people tell me like, oh, if I see a phone call from someone, I'm not answering. Like, you better text me. Like, okay.
I think it's interesting though, because people nowadays, like, there's this like, I don't know, this space, this like this thing where people don't want to be like too personal, you know? So they do things like text message, or like we talked about people just updating everyone on their lives via social media, even though, you know, you can definitely text someone or contact someone directly to let them know what's going on in your life. But most people just figure if they post it on Facebook, then that's good enough, you know? And that's not how that works. I don't, you know, like, if in order for us to have a conversation, we have to talk, you know? And a text message is, I mean, somewhat of a, I don't know, somewhat trying. And then a phone call, I feel like, is a little bit more like personal, you know? And then of course in person is more personal, you know, that's obvious, but we're busy, everyone's busy, so things happen. I think it's important for, look, I'm gonna tell you all in chat and everyone listening, this is a public service announcement. In order for you to have a relationship with someone, you have to try. And one of the parts of trying is to contact someone, so that they know that you're alive and that you're, cool with them and that you still care about them. I don't know. Don't expect you to like, oh, but I posted a selfie on, Instagram and you liked it. Like isn't that like what we, isn't that enough? That's not enough, people. It's not enough.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I think part of it is that we often see, or at least the way that it's talked about, like texting is a like texting is something that replaces phone calls. Like texting is seen as a replacement and not necessarily like, it's not always seen as an alternative. And so I think that when people use texting the same way people use Facebook and social media, like we look at that as a replacement for face-to-face communication, when in truth, like it, in my opinion, like social media texting should be seen as an enhancement, not necessarily a replacement. And so often, like particularly with our generation, or this new generation, should I say, I don't think I'm part of this new generation, but whatever. I think that is often seen as a replacement. And so, oh, I don't have to call you because I text you. Oh, I don't have to see you because you see me on Facebook or you see me on Instagram. And we don't or at least it doesn't seem to be conveyed properly that like you still need the other stuff. Like you still need human interaction. I still need to see you, smell you, touch you, feel you, those types of things, outside of just a rinky-dink text message. Like
rinky-dink.
or like, I don't care that you double tap my picture on Instagram. Like that's not enough. If like there's a bunch of people who can do that, but they're not connected to me, and that's not why I call you friend or lover or sister or whatever.
Right.
Like, so I think that those things are necessary, and I think over time people will start to balance out the two. I just think that because technology is moving so fast, people are trying to manage their ways around it, and eventually they'll realize that like one does not compensate necessarily for the other. And so I hope that happens soon, so that people can stop making it seem like they're, doing their friendship duties through text message or social media. Like, it has to be more than that.
I agree. I do.
Yeah, I agree too. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's just some people who just aren't comfortable with phone calls, and they'll make an exception. Like I have friends who, if I'm really upset and I don't feel like getting on my Xbox, they will make an exception and they'll let me call them. But yeah,
I don't know. I feel like if you have a conversation like this with someone too, like they might take offense to it, and that sucks. But I don't know. If you guys feel like you're not connecting with people, try to call them and see if that helps, and try to see people, I know that a lot of people can't really see each other because they live far away, or especially if you make friends over the internet, but like there's video calls, there's that.
Oh, we're not doing that. I'm just pointing that out right now.
There's video calls. Bitch, I will video call you until you answer the phone. Like, do not play with me.
Okay.
Yes,
no, but
I have a confession about I am not a fan of video calls. Like, do not FaceTime me. I don't like. I can do without. Like, I just. It's more pressure. Now I gotta make sure that like my face is done and my hair is done. And
I mean,
agreed.
Like, I just don't want you to know me like that. Just call. Just call.
Yeah.
Right? Or text. And we can move on from there. I'm not a fan of FaceTime and the little thing just lighting up and people just show up unannounced. It's like people showing up to your house and not calling before they come.
I feel like with me, like, I don't like that either. But if we do, like, for example, a planned FaceTime, like, that's better. That's better for me. Because, like, for example, if I FaceTime someone, I don't know, like, right after work, like, and I haven't, washed the face off or like taken down the hair and like changed my clothes and stuff, then it's fine. But like, yeah, don't FaceTime someone randomly and like FaceTime is not like a phone call, you know? That's where people confuse it sometimes too, where it's like you can't just be like, hey, do-do-do-do-do, you know, like, no, that's not. I dread that sound if I'm not ready for it, like that. No, I can't. Mm-mm.
Well, see, that's the other thing. Like, so this is enabled now, like Google Hangouts. I just disabled it on my phone, so people can't like, they can't. They just, it's not an option. And I think like one time when I first signed up, like for Facebook or whatever, they somebody called me like on Facebook, like through the the messenger video chat, and I just like stared at it. Like it just beeped, and I was just like staring at my phone, like, why would somebody do this to me? So those things don't get answered either. I'm just like, listen, no, we're not having conference calls. You don't need to see my face, none of that extra stuff. I'm gonna need you to use the telephone. Like, you got something to say, you can call, leave a message, but we're not. No, I don't do it.
That's so funny. Yeah, guys, you'll learn a lot here during Speak Podcast. Let's move on to our next question. What is your favorite body part? Joy, what's yours?
On me, my favorite body part on me.
Either one, however you want to answer the question.
Oh boy,
because that's true. There's different. You can either say like what do you like on other people or what you like on yourself.
Okay, so okay.
You can definitely say what you like on yourself.
Okay, so I have to, maybe I can. Okay, so for me personally, on myself, I am a big fan of two things. So I absolutely, positively, like, I love my smile, my face, my cheeks. I don't know. It's something about those. So I'm very fond of that.
Great, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, they're beautiful, so for sure.
And so I'm fond of that. And then my hips.
Yes.
Like, I absolutely, like, you can't, I mean, there's not a picture there, but
your hips don't lie. Oh, there's no picture.
I'm absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, I mean, my hips are like that thing that that moves me, like, you know, that like really helps me to appreciate, or not helps, but I appreciate my figure for what it is. And so my hips are the thing that you know, get my vote as far as my favorite body part. And then on other people, again, like my boyfriend, so on men, smiles are the same. And I think part of it is because men are taught not to smile so often that, like, when you see it, you don't realize like the beauty that you miss out on.
Yeah.
And so me and my boyfriend, we actually met online. And so
cool.
Seeing him in person for the first time and like actually seeing him smile, like he has a smile that like gives my smile a run for his money. So like his smile is something that kind of lights up the room to me. And I think like I've learned over time to kind of appreciate like it's a different type of, I like a different type of admiration. I mean, like, you know, men have abs and legs and calves and all that and stuff, but like I don't think anything does it for me the way that a smile does.
Yeah, that's true. People's smiles are taken for granted. I feel like, especially with men, it's interesting because smiles are contagious, you know? Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to smile at people. I mean, this sounds kind of creepy, but if you like trying to smile at people in the street, like,
Blue, you smile
throughout your day? No, fuck out of here. I have a bitch face all day.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Resting bitch face. No, but if I'm you know, interacting with someone and they're like helping me in the store, and then I'll smile and I'll be like, you know, thank you. Sometimes it doesn't work because people are assholes and they just like ignore me and don't say you're welcome. But sometimes it does work and people like actually, you know, it makes them happy and it makes their day. I mean, the children I take care of, like, we just laugh at each other, and then like one will laugh and then I'll just start laughing and then they'll start laughing and then we're just all laughing together. Like, it's just so contagious, and children have like the most innocent, like, carefree laughs and smiles that you can't help but, you know, I mean, some people don't like babies, so you know, there's that. But like, you can't, for the most part, you can't help but just be like, oh, you know, and like laugh and smile with them. So it's nice. It's true. I agree with that. I don't know what, I mean, I was gonna probably say them hips too, because you know, I'm Latina. I don't know if that was obvious, but we emphasize hips in our culture, and we sort of like, when you're dancing, you have to like move your hips and kind of just like, you know. So I don't know. I enjoy that. I enjoy movement, and I feel like your hips when you're dancing are important. It's like the center that your eye just like gravitates to that. But other than that, I kind of think that I enjoy my eyes. I feel like, I mean, let's not get all corny, but you know, they're the windows to your soul. No, but I feel like you can tell a lot about someone by staring into their eyes. I do think that if someone's sad, you can see it in their eyes, and if someone is happy, their eyes are bright and like alert, you know. So I don't know. I feel like your eyes are important. And I particularly like mine. I don't know. Whatever.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you? It's funny, right? Because for me, at least, it's a little bit awkward to talk about the things that I like about myself so openly, I feel like. And I feel like that's something we can talk about later. But like, that's something that's been sort of told to me, and kind of like I've grown up to like not. You're just told not to just like focus on yourself so much because you're not the center of attention and things like that. So yeah, that's why it's a little bit awkward for me to, you know, say things that I like about myself. But continue.
I think it's awkward for a lot of people to say things they like about themselves because for some odd reason, if you talk about things that you like about yourself, or you're like, oh, I like this, or I'm good at this, or whatever, people think you're being arrogant or conceited, Blue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah.
Let's get something straight. You are conceited. Thanks.
What? Excuse me, miss. I don't know what you're talking about.
Just kidding.
But yeah. My favorite thing about myself is probably my lips because they're big and plush and soft. I mean, that's what I've heard so far. And then what I like about other people, probably legs and arms. I like a nice defined arm. You know, just some muscles. I like the little muscles and stuff. Anyway, but yeah, I'm really into that. But yeah, exactly, Siberia. I'm not conceited. I'm convinced. I don't know what that means exactly, but I agree. Because it's like, listen, it's like if you say something nice about yourself, people just think that you're just like super conceited for some reason.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll say something like, oh, I look cute today. And then someone's like, oh my God, you're so conceited. And I'm like, okay.
See, that's so funny because with me, I'll be like, oh yeah, you do, girl. Like, yeah, for sure. You know, like, I don't know. I like to bring people up. And
I don't know about that. First of all, Blue, I feel like we've had several conversations where you're like, Luca, you are annoying, arrogant, and conceited. And I was like,
she is quoting me right now. I'm just saying. But you're taking it out of context.
Not out of context. I'm just like, oh, I'm funny. And you know what? I do come off as arrogant and conceited sometimes. I can admit
sometimes
to that.
I need to like bring you down a couple of notches because you'll call me and you'll be like, well, you know, so here is what I have to say and here's what I feel and here's what and you don't ask me how my day was. I'm just
First of all, miss, I call and I say, how was your day? It's the first thing that comes out of my mouth.
It's all about Luca all the time.
Oh my God. All right, whatever. But it's good. It's okay to love yourself, guys. If there's something about yourself that you like, it's okay to love yourself.
Definitely.
And there's a difference between loving yourself and being like, oh, I think I look nice today, or oh, I think I'm funny, and being like, oh yeah, I'm like the hottest shit up in this place. You know, there's a difference. Mm-hmm. So learn how to distinguish that. And if someone gets upset at you for saying, yeah, I like this about myself, and just be like, what's wrong with me loving myself? Because we live, at least in this day and age, people are so content with bringing themselves down that it's what people are used to. So when you hear someone who is positive about themselves, you know, it takes you aback, I guess. But I don't like hearing my friends like talk badly about themselves, especially if they're banging. You know, if they're like a really hot girl or guy, and they're like, "No, I think I'm like, shut up. I don't even want to talk to you. Just like own your hotness, you know, and accept it." That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's tough though, because people, their self-esteem, you know, it's these days a lot of people have low self-esteem, and there are ways to go about, and we're definitely going to talk about this later, but there are ways to go about building your self-esteem up. But it's I feel like it's harder to build it back up than it is to for someone to let someone else bring it down, you know?
Exactly, and it's like,
It's sad.
yeah, everyone grows up, at least how it is now. People are taught that it's not okay to like yourself, essentially, you know, and I think that's wild. I think that's crazy. Like I said, I'll say stuff like, "Oh, I'm hilarious," which I am. I'm hilarious, and people are like, "Oh," they're like, "Oh, take it down a notch. Take it down a notch. You're not that funny." I'm like, "You just finished cackling, and you told me yesterday that you think I'm hilarious." Oh, I'm just I'm just saying, yeah, I'm hilarious, you know. So I don't get that.
Oh God, yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to topic number 1. So topic number 1 is, of course, our lighter topic, although it can get pretty heated. Today's topic is, why are people so offended by the truth now? And what I mean by that, of course, because if you don't understand, is that people these days seem to be offended when you tell them the truth about something, as opposed to appreciating the fact that you're being honest, you know? And
Yes.
so I think it's a strange phenomenon, because of course, I mean, people are sensitive, like that's something that we've talked about before, but I don't know, with me in particular, and I've been experiencing this lately, where I try to tell people how I'm really feeling, and they either A, don't believe that I really feel that way, or B, get offended that I'm telling them exactly how I feel about a particular situation, and then make it seem like I'm attacking them or something like that. And so I wanted to talk about this, because I feel like, what the fuck is going on? Oh boy. So like, let's give an example. For the recently, I'm talking to someone about some drama, basically, and I'm just like, dude, I don't care, you know? Like, I don't care about what's happening here with this situation. So like, yeah, can we not? And he's like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, you do care. Why are you saying that? Don't say that. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, and then he'll come back and like tell me more about the drama that's happening. I'm just like, but did I not make myself clear the first time? You know, like, I don't know if you don't believe me that I don't care, or if you think I do care, but I'm lying and saying I don't care, because I guess that happens often, where people say they don't care and they actually do care, or I don't know what the fuck. All I know is that I just didn't want to be involved, and yet I was still involved somehow. So,
Well, I think,
yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, it just sounds like part of that sounds like projection. So there's times, like, you know, when you genuinely don't care about stuff, but other people care about it, and so since they care about it, they want you to care about it. And so it's like, no, you care, you don't, like, of course you care, like, let's finish talking about what I want to talk about. And it's like, no, but I really don't care about this stuff, and I don't want to talk about it. And they're like, no, of course you do. And what it really is that they really care, so they want, you know, they want to talk about it. And the only way to get, you know, to keep the conversation going is for them to convince you that you actually do care, even though you don't care, because otherwise they wouldn't have anything to talk about. And even if they did talk about it, they know you wouldn't be interested in it. So I think sometimes, like, that's where that springs from. This, like, they project their thoughts, their feelings on you in hopes that you will then agree. But I think, like, telling people the truth and them not accepting it has been, like, that's just as old as dirt.
Mm.
Like, I feel like people often reject the truth, especially if it makes them uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they don't want to talk about it. Now,
Right.
personally, I'm somebody that's like, tell me the truth. I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather know. Like, don't
Exactly.
have me out here looking stupid. Um, tell me, like, tell me what's really good so that I can do whatever I need to do for myself. You not telling me the truth is not helping me grow.
Right. And rejecting
So
it is something, right, that happens, of course, because people don't want to face the truth. But, like, would you get angry if someone's real with you, right? If someone tells you, like, oh, this is, you're doing this, and I hope this is helping you by telling you, like, would you get angry?
I think it depends on what it is,
Mm-hmm.
personally, for
Mm-hmm.
myself. It depends on what it is, and it depends on how they present it, right?
Uh-huh.
So if somebody like tells me the truth and like in a like an unloving way, like I would question motive. I don't care if it's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a certain way for you to say stuff. Like, so you coming at me sideways thinking that you're going to tell me like what I need to know might get you throat checked. Like that's one thing, right? And
Yeah.
then I think the other thing is like, I think there's a lot of stuff, but it would depend on what it is, to what degree does it impact me or matter? Because like sometimes people will be like, well, I'm just going to tell you the truth. But again, that's based on their projection about you per se, right? And so, I mean, I imagine we're going to talk about this later in the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a larger size and I choose to wear certain types of clothes, you quote unquote telling me the truth about how I look in public,
Mm-hmm.
like that's you, that's not me.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with how I feel about myself. So I'm going to have a problem about your truth, right? Whereas if it's something else that's like necessary, like friend to friend, heart to heart, well, hey, I think this is going on, or I'm concerned about this, like, then I'd be more likely to listen to it. But I don't think that truth necessarily trumps everything else. Whenever it comes to like communication, like, well, you should just be happy that people are telling you something. No, because sometimes people's opinions aren't truth. Sometimes their truth is not necessary or needed. Like, you can hold that, keep that to yourself. So I think it depends.
For sure. I think there's definitely a difference between opinions and truth, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And it's like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, And it's also like the way someone feels about you doesn't necessarily mean that what they're feeling is correct. It's like you were saying, Joy, they could just be projecting. That was a great point, really great point. I like that a lot. I think that personally that people don't want to hear the truth when it's actually the truth, because people are so unaware of themselves. No one's really self-aware, and they don't know why they're doing things or how they're doing things or how what they're doing may affect other people, because they're just not thinking about anyone but themselves, And me personally, I try to be very self-aware and think about why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and think about what I'm going to say before I say it. And like, well, okay, maybe I'm projecting right now. Maybe the person who has upset me, maybe I think they're upset, but in reality, I'm upset about something and I'm putting it on them. So I always think about what I say and what I do before I do it, because I'm very aware of myself. Well, I mean, I can still grow, of course, but for the most part, I'm pretty aware of myself and why I do the things that I do.
Yep, and I definitely would agree that self-reflection is like something that we don't do, something that society doesn't really provide us time for. Right. And like, if you really don't have the time, and if you're not cutting out time in your day to be self-reflective, then when people are telling you stuff about yourself, it probably comes as a shock to you. Right. So you can walk around with a thought in your mind, like, I'm so generous and I'm so giving. So when people confront you and be like, you're selfish, you're self-absorbed, it's going to shock you at first, and you're more than likely probably going to deny it, because that's not the image that you have of yourself in your head. But if you really sit down and you start to self-reflect on your own deeds and how you carry yourself, then you probably find out that, okay, there may be some level of truth to that. But because we don't we don't create space for that in our time. Like we work our 8-hour days, we run from here and there, we sleep, we get up, we have a routine, and some of that typically does not include self-reflection. It doesn't include time for us to sit down and say, how did this make you feel? How did this, especially big things that happen in our lives too, like if you've gone through something traumatic, to say that those things haven't changed you in some shape, way, or form, right, would be false. And so it's kind of like also understanding the ways that our own experiences have had some type of impact on us, and now the ways in which we perceive the world and how we treat other people. But again, I think that kind of goes back to, like you said, being self-aware, being able to reflect on how your life is impacting you and causing you to make decisions and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to have some time to self-reflect. Definitely not something that everyone does. If you're listening to this, if you don't know how to do that, definitely try to look up some stuff that you can do. I mean, personally, like I meditate whenever I can, and I feel like that helps me to think about the different situations that I'm in and the way I handle things. Usually for me personally, if something happens, I replay it in my mind over and over and over again, and I try and think like, what could I have done differently? What did I do that could have maybe been the wrong decision? How could that person maybe have taken what I've done or did or said? I don't know. I do that when situations occur that are like more serious than the day-to-day, especially if they involved people that I care about, or like friends and things like that. Yeah, I don't particularly, I don't know. I just feel like I mean, I may be coming off as abrasive when I speak to people about particular situations sometimes, only because I get frustrated pretty easily, and I feel like a lot of the time I'm telling people, what I think. They ask for my opinion, so I give them my opinion and I tell them what I think they should probably do. And most times people don't take my advice, and so it's kind of bothersome when they come back to me and they say, oh, you were right. Maybe I should have done that. And like it happens with everyone that I know, and it's fine. Like I'm not gonna be like
guilty.
It's fine. I'm not gonna be like, well, yeah, you should have listened to me, blah blah blah. But it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of I don't know, annoying, I guess. Because I'm just like, look, I'm trying to help you, when you do that whole, like, I'm going to shake you some sense into you. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, I'm telling you this because I care. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. And I feel like people are very defensive. So it becomes like a thing. Like, to explain the truth or to explain, like, maybe not necessarily the truth, but what you think is a good thing to say to someone or to give good advice, and present it in a like nice little package. Like sometimes that approach takes so much patience and time that I don't have the patience for it because I'm busy as fuck, and I'm just like, look, here, do this, and that's it. Like, that's it. Stop fucking talking about it. And then she's like, oh my God, really, Blue, really? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to help you. I love you. And then, I have to deal with that part. So my approach is definitely...
Oh, go ahead. No,
go for it. My approach definitely needs to be worked on. That's all.
Well, I've been told that I've been harsh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just harsh in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have... But in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm pretty kind. Considering if you knew what I was really thinking, how I wanted to say it, the flowers that I sprinkled on top of what I said took some, took effort. And so I think like sometimes that's a thing too, like your approach to answering things, like being truthful to people. Like I'm not good at sugarcoating anything for the most part. Like if it's garbage, it's garbage. I mean, I'll find some way not to say it's garbage, but at the end of the day, you're still going to get the message that it's trash.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not a good idea, like I'm not going to sugarcoat and say, you know, well, no, I think the idea is great. Some type of way you're going to find out that I'm not a fan of the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, you know, some people just don't like push back, especially if it's like close friends and family, like, because they are expecting you to support. And so I think it hurts more, like, when it comes from people that you're closer to, that when you're like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. No, I don't think he's the right person. Like, did you check X, Y, and Z? It sounds like he's playing you. And then, like, your friends get really angry and stuff. And then, 2 or 3 weeks later, it's like, girl, yeah, he was playing me. Well, that's what I had said, but,
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I mean, I said that, but all right, whatever.
yeah, so.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard, right? Because people have feelings. I mean, us ourselves have feelings, right? And we don't want people to say things to us in a particular way, even though I feel like I have a higher threshold for things like that because I'm abrasive myself. So I kind of like don't take everything as personally, I guess. But there have been times where, someone that I know would say something and I'm just like, huh, excuse me? Hold up. Who the fuck are you? And then I start with my thing and I'm like, wait. Let me stop myself. All right. Like, okay, he might have a point here. But it's
That's sorry to
instinctual.
interrupt, but that's the issue with a lot of people. If your friend is pointing something out, like your close friend, like you guys like love each other and you're so close, and your friend is like, hey, perhaps you shouldn't have done that thing. And take their advice. Be like, yeah, this person is my best friend. They love me. Like, they wouldn't just try to say this to bring me down. Maybe I screwed up. Maybe I should consider what they're saying and not get pissy with them, Blue?
Listen, if you're
What?
trying to say something
What am
about
I trying to
me,
say? What am I trying to
like,
say?
look.
Nah, I mean, you're pretty like, if I have concerns, you're usually like, oh, okay, and you're well, like, oh, fuck you with that LOL. I'm just saying, but you're usually oh God, I'm done with you. Never mind, I'm
Look,
done.
I threw you off your track.
Yeah,
What
whatever.
were you saying though? Aren't you?
First
Why
of
are
all,
you
this
distracted?
girl over here knows I don't like it when she does that fucking LOL thing, and then she just sends me a bunch of tweets saying LOL. I'm like, man, come on. But yeah,
Jokes.
people people don't want to hear the truth. Okay, that's really what it comes down to. No one wants to hear the truth, and no one wants to think about their actions before they do them,
I've
or
actually
after they do them.
started like asking people, do you want to hear the truth or do you want to hear, you want to hear it, the honest way, or do you want me to be nice? Is what I've been like giving people options for. And so I have yet to have someone say the nice way. But yeah, they usually say, the truth, and I'm like, well, let me break it down for you. And then I think when I prepare them that way, it kind of helps the situation because people are less defensive when they're prepared for what's to come.
Yeah, when they can
Because
brace themselves.
right, if you just come out of nowhere and you're like, listen, bitch, I don't understand why you think it's okay to date this mofo, but I'm gonna tell you something. And then like I go in. No, before I do that, if I ask like my best friend, we had the situation before where I was just like, look, do you want the truth or do you want me to be nice? And she was like, tell me the truth, please. And I was like, where's my mic? Here. And she was like, okay. After I gave her my spiel. And then it kind of worked out better. She still made the mistake. I mean, whatever. She still dated the guy, but what are you gonna do? I said my piece. And then everything in terms of like for us, everything was fine. Like she wasn't upset about it, she wasn't like offended. And I feel like a lot of people get offended when it comes to these things. I don't know. Okay, so
Yeah.
do you two feel that it's hard to find honest people nowadays?
Yes.
Like unanimously, yes.
There's
Absolutely.
like no hesitation in that answer.
Yes.
Yeah. It's rough. See, the thing of it is that people just aren't true to themselves. A lot of people just want to follow the crowd, and then there's others who just don't want to deal with any drama, so they lie or make things up or pretend like there's not an issue when there is. And see, the reason I'm so invested in Blue and our friendship is because she's very honest and open and brash, and I like that because that's how I am. And I don't know a lot of people who are like that. You know what I mean? It's like everyone is putting on a front and no one wants to be truthful. And that's why people get so that's why people are so shocked when you're honest with them, you know? And you tell them when you don't sugarcoat things for them, when you tell them the truth about how something actually is, they don't expect it because no one's actually like that. Everyone is brought up to think that what they think and how they feel matters to everyone when it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I feel like this generation definitely feels like it's all about them.
Yep. Like, for real, though. And that's why I get a lot of people who, if I tell them, yeah, I don't really care about your opinion, they get so upset. They get so upset. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Like, I don't. I don't really get it. You know, I really don't get it. But that's just how it is. I kind of went on a tangent here. People are unaware of themselves and they don't want to do any self-reflection. They don't want to hear what anyone else thinks. They just want to live in a bubble and not consider how their actions affect the people around them. And that's sad, but it is what it is. That's why I don't give advice out freely anymore. You know, I say go watch Speak, but you know, if you tell someone what you think they should do, they're not going to listen to you. No one changes unless they want to change. People don't change unless they want to change. You cannot change someone's mind. You cannot change a person, okay? They have to want to do that for themselves.
And honestly, she has definitely been doing that lately, where she's like, look, I lost my train of thought. Wow, that was nice.
Yeah. Are you losing your train of thought because I've been like, look, Blue, you're doing a bit too much right now?
No, because you keep changing. What? You keep saying this and that and this, and then I think of something when you first start talking, and then you start talking about something else, and I'm like, fuck.
Was it about being paid?
No,
she doesn't give out advice for free.
Oh no, that she's been like, listen, go to Speak Podcast if you want more information about this, because like you need our help, and you'll get it if you listen to Speak. And I'm like, this bitch really just told that person, I'm not gonna help you. Just go to the podcast, and there you'll have help.
I mean, like legit though, because people come to me for advice, and like I don't even know if they are coming for advice or if they're just coming to vent. But it's like, if you're not going to listen to me, then just go watch the show, because I'm not repeating myself over and over again. Like, I have this one guy. This guy, he is kind of a hot mess. And he's been a mess for a long time. And I'm like, dude, I think, like, if you really want my advice, I think you should probably just stop drinking. Because if people are saying that you're drinking too much, you should probably stop drinking. Like, if it's a concern and you heard it from multiple people, what does he do? He just continues to drink. And then he's come to me about, like, a certain girl. And he's all like, you know, all women are the same. I'm a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to treat girls like they treat me, which is badly. And like, I'm like, bro, don't do that. That's terrible. And also, he came to me talking about how this girl is like, has a boyfriend. He's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, you know, like if she's interested. I'm like, no, stay away from her. What are you doing? And what did he do? What did he do?
What did he do?
He went after her, and then it fucked up. And I'm like, bro, are you like, you don't, okay. All right, okay. This is fine, I guess. So all I'm saying is, like, you know, when I'm like, oh, just go watch Speak, I'm being dismissive and I'm just playing around. But it's like, if I've tried to help you several times and you don't want my help, you just want someone to vent to, then just go listen to the show or get a journal. I write things down in my journal, you know, when I'm feeling a certain way. I just write things down, because if I don't actually want advice on the topic, I'm not going to talk to anyone about it. Because if you talk to someone, you expect it to be a back and forth and an open discussion, not just you venting about someone. Fam, I'm not your therapist, you know. I'm not just going to sit here and listen to you talk about this, and when I give you advice, you completely ignore my advice. It's not happening. Anyway,
well, I think telling the truth is like a lost art. I feel like it's something that not necessarily that people don't do. I just think that in this culture, in this society, we are like, face saving is like the order of the day. And so people go to great lengths to save face, and and to portray themselves as something that they aren't. Like white lies, that's what we call them, right? So those are like the nice lies that people tell. And so people are used to that and accustomed to those things. But to have someone like, you know, be willing to square up with you and say, listen, this is the problem, this, or at least this is what I see is the problem, this is where you could use some help in this area or whatever, is everybody's not strong enough to take that. Like, criticism is not for the faint at heart. Even constructive criticism is not for the faint at heart.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you are, you know, if you subscribe to any type of workout regimen where you are trying to build muscle, like, the first couple days, that crap is going to hurt. The first couple weeks, that crap is going to hurt. And every time you switch to do a different regimen, it's going to work something that it never worked before. And you're probably going to feel like giving up. You're probably going to be angry. Somebody's going to be like, well, what you mad for? And you're not going to have an answer for it, right? Like, all of those things, those emotions come up because it's challenging you. And I think that people who don't take time to self-reflect, people who are not critical of themselves, and not in a bad way, but just in a reflective way, it's extremely hard for them to take constructive criticism from even people who care about them, people who love them, people who, you know, they know will have their backs 100%, because it doesn't feel good. And so being around, I think it's harder for people to be honest in general, because you're not the favorite. Like, you know, you're not going to be the fan favorite. The moment I step out and I say, no, this was wrong, I already know in that moment I've put a mark on my back. I already know that I'm going to be like the enemy in the camp. Even if we're friends, like, you know, when everybody else is high-fiving you about something stupid that you did, I'm going to be the one person that's going to stand on the other side and say, you messed up. Doing that, I put some things at risk, including my friendship with you, including the connection that we have. And everybody's not willing to do that. And so they just go along to get along. And it's like, yeah, sure, no, that was fine, you did great. Oh no, what are they talking about? That's an awesome idea. And they'd rather watch you fall, bust your face, scrape your knee, lose everything that you have, than be the bad guy, so to speak.
So. Yeah, the worst thing is when you point something out and then they get upset at you and like just so angry, and then they come back to you like a day later and like, hey, you were right. Yeah, you were right. I'm like, okay. Like, that's happened to me so many times where one of my friends, he'd get angry about things and he'd take it out on people. And I had to be like, bro, what are you doing? You're doing too much right now. You don't need to be attacking these people, or you don't need to attack me. You know, I think you're feeling some sort of way and you need to, like, you know, relax. And then he'll get pissed with me and then he'll just be like, no, you're wrong. And, you know, he'll say mean things. And then, you know, I don't talk to this guy anymore, obviously. But it's like, he would come to me the next day and just be like, yeah, Luca, you were right. And I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever. People are so quick to latch onto anger than to actually think about what is being said to them.
Right.
I agree. Oh man, yeah, this turned into a bigger topic. I mean, I knew it was something, because, like, look, this week has been full of this nonsense. I feel like it's exhausting to have to always be the one to be, you know, be the real one in the crowd, because you always, like, the attention's always brought on you and you're always deemed as some kind of label. For me this week, it was the one that brings the drama, apparently, because I bring drama when I tell people the truth for some reason. And it just seems like, I don't know, I feel like if you don't want to know, don't ask me, you know? Because, like, for the most part, I won't give it to you, like, if you don't ask for it. Like, I'm not going to just, like, up and tell you anything, because I don't care enough for the most part, you know? when it comes to particular situations. When it comes to people that I actually do care about, and I tell them, look, you know, this is, you might need to know this. It's because it's important and I feel like I want to help them, you know? If someone asks me, for the most part, I'll probably, you know, say what I'm thinking just because I'm like that. I'm very opinionated, but I don't know. I feel like, well, there's a question. If someone asks you and you know that if you say something or if you say the truth, it'll start something, right? Because of the kind of person that they are. If you don't know them that well, do you say anything? Do you not say anything? How do you get out of that situation?
Oh, I would say something.
You'll say something anyway?
I would say something because I think at the end of the day, I don't know. So for me personally, I count up the risk, right? And I count up the cost. And at the end of the day, none of those things are going to change the truth that's getting ready to come out. So it is what it is. Like if they ask, then I'm more likely to tell them because I'm not going to lie to you. So either you're going to get an answer from me that says, I'm not going to tell you, right? Or you're going to get the truth. It's going to be one or the other.
Right.
And so,
do you think it causes the same amount of drama if you say, I'm not going to tell you? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think then it's like, well, how come? Well, why won't you,
that's
you
true.
know, well, why won't you tell me? Why won't you share? Well, obviously there's probably some inkling that that individual would have at that point that it's not going to be positive. And listen, I've lost friends over just being honest.
Same.
Like I've, you know, I've told people just, you know, this is what it is. This is what I feel like is going on. And literally no response from them. I haven't spoken to them. You know, they just dipped out.
Disappeared, like taken.
Yeah, out of my life. And so I think part, like, you know, going through those types of experiences kind of just helped me to know that, like, okay, like this is what you're putting on the line by sharing this stuff, and is it worth it? Like I'm not gonna hold my tongue just with like, because then what do you really have like to your friendship, or what do you really have, you know, if you can't sit down and really be honest with somebody?
I feel like that's so annoying too, that you'll lose friends for being honest with them, you know, because so then what are you looking for in a friend? Right? Like, why are you even here in the first place? Like, I feel as though it's important as a friend, especially if you label someone as a friend, because that in itself is a big deal for me, at least. Where if you have to be honest with your friends. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to bullshit you. If you don't want to hear the truth, then, I mean, we don't have to talk about this. Like, if it's something that's like too soon, like it's too delicate of a situation, then we can definitely come back to this later. Like, I feel like that at least I can respect someone enough to give them that. But like, don't ask me if you don't want to know for real. You know, if you're not ready to hear it, ask me at a later date, and we can like discuss it. But definitely have lost friends over shit like this, and it's frustrating, you know, but at the same time it's like, all right, bye. Like, you don't need people like that anyway.
Yeah, it does suck a lot.
What it really does for me though is for family, because, you know, I mean, you can kind of stop talking to family, I guess, but like with me, at least our get-togethers, like I'm gonna see people, and I feel like when I tell my family members the honest truth, they're always just like, wow, okay, you know? And like, no one really contacts me. No one really looks for me in my family. Like, they'll be having like get-togethers and they'll just like not invite me. And I'm just like, cool, no problem. Or if I see it on Facebook, I'm like, oh, so you guys went out this weekend? I'm super passive aggressive. Like, you guys went out this weekend? Nice, okay. And I'll just like leave the comment there, and they're just like, oh yeah, what they've been telling me lately is that they know that I would have said no if they would have invited me, right? Or that I'm antisocial, so I wouldn't have gone anyway. Those are the excuses that I've been hearing, and I'm like, if you say so, you know?
Right. Because it's so much easier for them to
exactly,
like, oh, so we won't try.
Exactly.
Oh, she's gonna say no anyway, so we won't try.
Exactly. And I'm just like, yo, y'all need to get your shit together, because that's not how this works, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Absolutely.
They don't like when I say what I'm feeling. Especially my mom. She kind of just feels like She'll be like, I know, like, you're right, it's true, I understand, but you just can't go around telling people that. And I'm like, Mom, come on, because she knows what I'm saying is, and she agrees with it. She just doesn't agree that I should say it. Anyhow, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, everyone, I feel like it's important to be honest with people and open. It might get you into trouble, so I feel that it's good to maybe prepare someone. Like I said earlier, I do tell someone, like, do you want me to tell you the truth, or, you know, do you, like, maybe not lie, because I'm not gonna give them that option, obviously, but I'm just like, you want to hear the nice way, or you want to hear the honest truth? And usually people go with the honest truth. I don't know, I guess it's like a, you know, toss up between those two. They're gonna go with the honest truth, because who's really gonna be like, yeah, lie to me, please? I don't know, that seems kind of funny. But yeah, I think everyone should be honest. I feel like it's not helpful if you're not honest with people that you have in your life.
I agree.
Yeah. So that was a good one. If anyone has anything else that they want to add to this conversation, maybe something that we didn't cover, or maybe something that happened to you that is having to do with this, we would definitely like to hear your stories, of course. So put them in the comments down below if you're watching this later. And thank you, chat, for sharing your stories with us. We appreciate you guys. So let's move on to our next segment. This is not. I'm sorry. I definitely You know what I did? I put but why though. But that's not what we're doing right now, guys. And I don't want to go to but why though, because that's for later, and I have a good one for that. But it's funny is because I have a particular story that I want to share with you guys that I'm like super excited about. Yeah, let's move on. It's getting the best of me though. I'm super like, I want to tell you guys, but right now it is Girl, Let Me Tell You, where we share with you our stories from the week and give you a little bit of snippet of the shit that we have to deal with on our day-to-day. Luca, what is your Girl, Let Me Tell You?
All right, well, girl, let me tell you. So, yesterday, listen, I've been like frauding on my Xbox for the past month or so, appearing offline because I get a lot of messages from people. And most of them are nice, but some of them are just like, ooh, I don't want to deal with this. And with the whole botting situation going on Xbox, I don't get any messages when I appear offline, so that's pretty great. But yesterday, I decided to appear online for some odd reason, and I ended up getting a bunch of messages from people. And I was playing a game with one of my friends, and someone was like, hey, can I join? And, you know, I didn't want to be a bitch, so I was like, yeah, I guess you can join. And it ended up being fun, but the thing of it is, they're really good at the game, okay? So I just don't seem to understand why, if you tell someone, hey, I suck at this game, but they're really good at it, they still want to play with you. I'm not sure what that is exactly. It's like, I got my ass beat so many times playing this game, and I was just sitting there like, okay, because it's like obvious that this person's really good. And I don't get the mindset there. If you know that you're bomb at a game, why would you want to play someone who's admits that they suck? And I think that for some people, not for me, I don't really care, but for some people, if they play against someone who completely like demolishes them, they get discouraged and they don't want to play anymore. And this guy, he's really nice, he's a cool guy, but the only thing he did that I didn't like was that when we were playing against each other, he was like toying with me, and it was obvious he was toying with me, and he could have just beaten me anytime. He was just like acting like I had the chance, and I'm like, you might as well just, if you're better than me at a game, that's fine, but like don't play with me like that, fam. Like you don't have to, don't do that, you know? If I suck, it's fine. Just take me down in a couple of combos and let that be the end of it. But don't just like have me attack you and just act like, you know, it's actually doing something when you know that you can just beat me in 5-second flats, you know? I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. Like some people, it's like Neverland was saying, it's like some people are satisfied with destroying you in a game so they can just shit on you or whatever. And this guy, he wasn't doing that, But there's been many instances where I've just heard and seen someone, they're like, oh, I'm not that good at this game, but then end up being like a beast, and then they're so arrogant and cocky about it. And that shit's annoying. I think it's really annoying. And that's why I've been dodging you during Gears, Blue. I'm not trying to go through any of that. So
I mean, I wouldn't do that to you. Boo boo.
I don't trust you.
I wouldn't do that to you. I definitely don't like when people do that shit. It's stupid. I'm all about like showing you how to play the game. I'm not gonna like 1v you if you just started playing. That makes no sense.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I really don't get what that is. Because take for instance, I play Dark Souls, and when someone wants to play Dark Souls, I'm like, yeah, I'll help you with the game. You know, I'm not like, yeah, I'm so good at this game. You know, if you don't play Dark Souls, you're a casual. You want to get into Dark Souls, oh, you can't get into it, you suck. Like, if you're struggling in the beginning of the game, I'm going to be there to encourage you, not bring you down. And there's just so many people who act like just because you're good at a video game that actually means something, when it 100% does not.
It does not, people. It does not. Okay? Just because you spend more time doing something and you perfect it, you know, doesn't necessarily mean that you're better than someone like in life, you know?
Exactly.
I feel like people need to know these things. Speak Podcasts, helping you all day, every day. No, but yeah, as you may have figured out, we do play video games, Joy. I don't know if you play any video games.
Not anymore. I had a slight addiction in the 80s when Nintendo was like a big deal.
Nice, yeah.
And so I had to, I went through my steps in the program to make sure that was not something. I mean, this is before memory cards came out and we had to stay up all night to beat games. I was like very much into games then. And once I got older, I just never kind of reconnected with that. So yeah. So if you want to talk about Super Mario Brothers, we can do this. But otherwise, I'm not too hip on what's going on as far as gaming in today.
So, girl, let me tell you. Mine has to do with gaming too, sort of. On Xbox, which is another gaming console, there is this thing that you can do where it's called a party chat, and basically it's sort of like this, where you kind of get together in the same lobby and you can voice chat with other players. And so I'm playing Gears of War, which is a video game. It's a shooter, and I'm playing with 4 other people, or 3 other people, whatever. And 2 of those people know each other, and I kind of met them separately, and somehow they linked up together. And so they were in there, we were playing, we were chilling, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, one of their friends joins the party. Uninvited, you can join sometimes. If it's an open party, you can join without, you know, as long as one of your friends is in there. And so he just like, he kind of just like goes like, hey, guy number 1. We're just going to call him guy number 1 because we don't need to say names up in here. Y'all ain't getting famous. No, I'm just kidding. But guy number 1, how are you? And I'm like, interesting. In my head, I'm just like, this is interesting. And the guy's like, hey, what's up? And then the guy's like, oh, but did you take me off of your friends list? And he's like, no. Guy number 1's like, no, you changed your name, I think, or something. I don't know. And then he was like, well, you know, add me back or something like that. And I'm just like, you know, it's a good idea when you join a party to say hi to the other people that are in there, not only the person that you know. Okay, sir? And then he's just like, crickets. Definitely did not answer me. And then he kind of ignores me, and then he's like, hey, guy number 2, which is the other guy that he knows. And I'm like, this motherfucker is fucking testing my nerves right now. Did he just really ignore me and say hi to guy number 2 as if I'm fucking invisible? And I'm like, you know, these guys know each other. Party? Yeah, this is my fucking party. I own this bitch. How you gonna come in here? This is like going into someone's house and being like, so wait, when he does that, like the whole, well, hello, hi, guy number 2, and doesn't say hi to anyone else, I muted my mic because I'm streaming at this point. So I'm live streaming so everyone on my channel can hear me. And I mute my mic to the party, and I'm just like, guys, look, if you join someone's party, you say hello to everyone in there. Didn't your mama or your daddy teach you any fucking manners? If you're going to someone's house, you say hello. You have to be courteous, you know? Does everyone know what that means? Do you know how to say hello to people? Because if you don't, like, you don't need to be in here. Like, I feel like I should kick this motherfucker out. And everyone's just laughing because I'm like here ranting, and I'm so serious. Like, I'm so angry at the fact that this guy does this. And anyway, he goes in there and he's just talking to those two guys, and he's just like, yeah, so y'all trying to play? And I'm like, oh my god, he comes in here to take the guys that I'm playing with away from me. What the fuck is this shit? And so I'm just like, so guy number one, you're leaving? So you're leaving? And he's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go. And I was like, all right, bye, rude ass. I was like, get out of here, bye, leave, go, bye. It's like so annoying. What are you doing, dude? First of all, the guy number one should have told his friend that it's quite rude to not have said hi to everyone else in the party. And guy number two ends up leaving too because I guess he wants to play with them. Fine. It's fine if you guys want to go, but just like, can you teach your friend some manners? Like, no, I can't. Like, I would never go into someone's party chat and just be like, hi, one person, and ignore everyone else. What the fuck is going on here? Anyhow, just felt like that was something I should share with you. And maybe you can learn something from this story, and you can learn that if you join someone's party, like if you go to someone's house, or if you meet up with friends outside and they have friends that you've never met before, you say hello. Okay? Joy, what's your girl? Let me tell you.
Okay, so my girl, let me tell you, would probably be, okay, so like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't have a life. So this story is going to revolve around me pretty much not having a life and having to teach over the summer. And so, like I said, we're nearing the end of the summer session. I teach accelerated courses. So they're 5-week courses that are typically taught over the semester. So we condense a 15-week course into 5 weeks for students to accomplish whatever. And so last week I had a student come to me who has pretty much either missed deadlines or has done like subpar work. And the student sits down, looks me dead in my face, and tells me he was hoping that he would receive an A for the course. So I'm like, you know, like, okay, so here comes, you know, like this honesty bomb thing, like being truthful and stuff. And like, are we going to sugarcoat this? Do we want to lie to the student? And I'm like sitting there, I'm sort of in disbelief. Like, he didn't say he wanted to pass the course. He said he wanted an A in the course.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, dude, like your grade is like, you know, like you're just cresting a C. I really would hope to have an A in this course. And I'm sitting there, and in my mind, I'm like, why are you telling me this? Like, you don't think that I'm going to like go back into the grade book and like, you know, switch your grades around? And so I pretty much wound up telling him like, well, you're just going to have to wait until like all your grades are added into the grade book. I say, you know, you can go and you can add this stuff up yourself, and you can see like where you know, where you are in the course. But for me, I guess it's just a reminder, like, as I'm coming upon, like, I'm scheduling to graduate next year with my PhD. And so a lot of people ask, like, you know, well, are you going to teach? Like, do you want to go into academia? Do you want to be a professor? And like, I tell them absolutely not. Like, I don't want to teach, even though students like me, and this is part of it. Like, I don't get, like, why, I don't understand why students feel like they can negotiate their grades. Like, you didn't do anything. And like, what you did was like garbage, like just trash. Like, and I had to stay up late at night and grade your garbage and your trash. And then like, you have the nerve to come to my office and be like, okay, but I wanted an A.
Oh
like, what does it have to do with me? Like, your work is like, I can't squeeze an A out of this if I wanted to. Like, a C+ would be pushing it. But the fact that you feel like oh, you feel like you have some grounds to sit and talk to me about actually getting an A in the course. I'm like, why? But why? Like, and every year, there's another student that emails me that tells me, oh, by the way, I need a B in this course to keep my scholarship. Oh, by the way, I need at least this grade so that I could graduate. Like, why do you want me to be bothered about that when you wasn't bothered enough to do the work?
Yeah.
And so I just be like, this is why I'm not teaching. Like, I'm getting out. I cannot do, like, I'm going to be that bitter old teacher that everybody hates if I stay in this profession. Like, because I can't deal with this part. Like, students, like, being entitled to something that they did not work for. So I just find it utterly, like, appalling. If people who are watching have kids, do not send your kids to school and tell them that it's okay to do this. Make sure that they are doing their work. I put a post on Facebook last year that was like, teach your kids ahead of time before you send them to any college.
Yeah.
Okay? Tell them to be responsible.
She's like,
tell
PSA.
them to do their work. Yes. Like, please don't send them to us and we have to deal with this, because your son or your daughter is going to hate me. They're not going to like me, and they're going to hate college, because a lot of professors just don't deal with the BS like this.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why we keep getting them in droves.
That's that entitlement.
I can't take it.
And you know what sucks about it too is that some professors do it. And so that's what happens.
Well, just to get the kids out of the class. Like, I don't want to see you next semester, so I'm going to pass you.
Yeah.
Not because you're smart, but because, like, I don't want the headache.
Yeah.
And so then your son or your daughter goes to the next level of school and they can't do the work.
Yeah.
But it's because they're a nuisance. It's not because they're good at what they do. It's because they are a pain in the neck. Like, they're the kids that teachers talk about at the water cooler. Those are you don't want your kids to be that person. Like, you don't want to be that student.
No.
Like, just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I feel like it sucks because there are other students in the class that are actually doing the work. Like, I was one of those students that would do the work, and somehow me being like getting A's on my papers and like passing the class, you know, getting my A, deserving my A, working for my A. And then the person next to me who was like, oh, I barely showed up, I missed like most of the classes, he got an A too. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you saying I could have skipped all these classes and still got an A? Like, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
Yeah. I think it's odd that they would send you emails and stuff saying, hey, by the way, I need this to keep my scholarship. And if you were really concerned about keeping your scholarship, why didn't you go to class and do your work? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you put that? Right, yeah, they're just trying to guilt you. It's very manipulative. And I'd be like, well, I'm going to give you even lower grade for trying that shit.
It's just stupid, too. I know a lot of professors, too, depending on the university, they have to explain particular grades too. Like, if they give too many A's, it's a problem. If they give too many fails, it's a problem. Right. If they are if someone contests their grade, it's a problem. So I know that a lot of professors kind of just like, oh, I'll just give this person a B and pass them. And it's like, but that's not fair, you know, to the rest of the people that did the work.
And it's the nature of the curve. So, I mean, a lot of students ask me, like, is this class curved? Do you curve grades?
That's so rude.
Because then, you know, somewhere along the line, you're only the people who do horrifically bad are going to fail. Mm-hmm. And then your B students are going to become A students. Yeah. And it's like nobody deserves it. So everybody gets scared when I tell them that I don't curve.
Yeah, I know. Some professors that I had start the class with that shit. Like, listen, I don't curve grades. And I'm like, ooh, you could hear everybody in the in the classroom just like breathe like hard, like, oh no. It's just funny. And I'm like, look, I worked full time and I was in school full time. Y'all can't tell me that I can get A's and you guys can't. Because a lot of the times the people that don't fucking do shit with their, like, they're just like, yeah, I'm like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, just this class. I'm like, you fucking asshole. Because they'll be the same ones complaining, like, oh, this class is so hard. I'm like, I don't want to hear you talk about this class being hard when I have to work all the way until I come to this class. Like literally an hour before this, I was working. Like don't do that shit. And they're like, wow,
and there's so many
crazy
resources for students, which also, like, we have office hours.
Yep.
I sit in my office for hours.
Yep.
Twice
and no
a
one
week,
comes up.
and no one comes. And now all of a sudden, like, you needed help and you didn't. Well, I didn't understand the material. Why are you coming now?
Yeah.
Like, it's the last day of class. I can't do anything. I can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
Like, you knew after your first exam that you sucked at this. Again, but that's part of the whole telling the truth thing. Like, at some point, you have to tell the truth to yourself and say you're no good.
I mean, honestly, like, I feel like if you are struggling, yeah, you definitely should be using the resources. Like, I don't know. I don't like when people make excuses when, I mean, it sounds harsh to say, but like, I don't understand people making excuses when people who have it harder do it, you know? Like, when I was going to class, all the professors, their office hours are during the time that I'm working. And so I would have to email them and be like, hi, I can't make it. Like, can I please, can we work something out? And of course I had the assholes who didn't no, they were just like, no. And I would have to take a day off or like take a half day and like actually go to their office hours to try and get some help. You know what I mean? Like putting my job at risk, basically. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where you got to try everything you can, Oh, you're a good girl. Don't even worry about it.
And look, listen, okay, so this is real life, right? We're live. We're live, right? We're live.
Yep.
So I just got a notification from a student. Like,
oh
people,
my God.
People think I'm making up stuff. So one of the classes that I teach is public speaking, right? And part of public speaking is that you have to create outlines for your speeches. So the student, right, we teach them how to do outlines. The student in question did not do well on the outlines. Mind you, there's 3 speeches, so this student has done bad on all of them. Never came to see me for outlines or anything. This is the same student that asked for an A in the course.
Oh my God.
I just received an email from this student. And this student would like to know if he can redo all his outlines for the speeches and resubmit them.
What?
On the last day of the course.
Oh my God.
He wants to know if he can redo all his outlines and resubmit them because he wants an A in the course.
But like, who has time for that shit? You have to grade them all over again?
Right. So that means I have to take time out of my day, take time out of my schedule, go back, accept outlines that I didn't do for anybody else. Not because he was sick, not because he has some documentation, but just because he didn't do as well as he thought he should have.
Yeah.
So now I have to go back. He wants me to regrade outlines for him so that he can get a different grade in the course. And so now, obviously, I have to go break somebody's heart because I'm going to be honest and tell this student that this is not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I would not do that shit. It's different if throughout the semester the person was like obviously trying, like they would go to your office hours, they would like communicate to you all semester long, like I'm having trouble with this course, But dude, last day, like what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah, man, look at this. This is like live.
It's not made up. It's live. It's not made up, folks.
Oh
like
God.
This happens to instructors all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what would possess somebody to think and feel like they have grounds to even ask a question like this? All the work that I did that I got a bad grade on, I want to take it all back and I want to resubmit it again for a better grade. And I want you to grade it.
And not only that, you have to wait for him to do it and then grade it. Like it's obviously going to go past the semester time.
No, I'm just not. And so, and then one of the things that instructors, the issue is like, okay, we don't want them to evaluate us poorly.
Right.
So now I have to weigh that against whether or not I let this student do what he's asking to be done.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, I ain't gonna teach no more after this anyway, so it ain't gonna make no difference. So let me go on and tell him no so he can enjoy the rest of his day.
Oh my God, that shit's funny. Yeah, man, I can't. I don't even, yeah. Girl, the patience.
Right. So, girl, let me tell you. Crazy.
Oh my god. All right. I think we did some good girl let me tell yous this week. If you guys have any stories that you want to share with us that have anything to do with the stories that we talked about, or just randomly want to say girl let me tell you, feel free to throw it in the comments. We are here and we read all the comments and respond to every comment. So yeah, or tweet at us if you want, because why not? Let's move on to our next segment, which is our serious topic. Our serious topic this week is bodies. We're going to talk a little bit about bodies and what is considered attractive or acceptable. We're going to talk a little bit about the issues that come up when it comes to the acceptable bodies, in society, and what people do to get there. And of course, if this is a little bit too serious for you, definitely feel free to walk away and come back later. We will be mentioning things like bulimia and anorexia, and we don't want to trigger anyone. So it's important to, throw that out there beforehand. But I do want to hear a little bit from Joy, just because she is writing her dissertation on this, which I feel like it's just amazing. And I want to hear a little bit about what you think in terms of like society and what people consider attractive and acceptable, and like why that is, and what it is that's making society feel that bodies that are, bigger are not acceptable.
Well, one, I think there's just a lot of stigma that's associated around bigger bodies. I don't know if I should preface this by saying what you see in the mainstream is not typically what happens behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we know that some of these things happen behind closed doors, but typically what's played in the mainstream is an exaggeration of the realities that a lot of people face sometimes. So I will say that to say that there are a lot of fat individuals who live very vibrant lives. You never hear about them because it goes against the narrative that society typically plays. Mm-hmm. When we consider that the diet industry, the weight loss industry, right, what we know as health, are multi-billion-dollar industries, you start to kind of figure out and understand a little bit better how if society can make people feel bad about themselves, how there always will be a check in somebody's mm-hmm. pocket. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, we have been kind of conditioned and talked about and talked to by ways of saying nobody wants to be fat. Nobody wants to be like a fat person. Nobody wants to look like a fat person. And then we take it a step further and we say things like, oh, well, fat is detrimental to someone's health, right? And so what I'm personally interested in, and the things that I've been doing research on, is that a lot of the things that we talk about by way of health, by way of acceptability, right? Fat bodies, different things like that, is that we've been sold a lie. And so when dealing with weight and health and what that looks like, a lot of the research studies that are coming out actually debunk what has been told to us before in reference to weight and health. When you think about, society, mainstream society, and the picture of European beauty, right? Fat people don't fall in that context. People of other races don't fall in that context. And so if these are the messages that you're constantly being pumped with, then this helps shape your perception about life, and it helps to shape what you think is attractive, who you find attractive. I mean, I know a lot of people feel like, oh, this is just my preference. This is what I like. But a lot of that is on some level influenced by what you constantly see. Right. And so there's a reason why, you want a 2017 car and not necessarily a 1965 car. right? And so if we paint the picture of 2017 cars being better, being more efficient, being more stylish, being more class, then it's like, oh, okay, I want that. Like, but you didn't know what that was before then. And so it's the same way if you paint fat bodies as being undesirable. And I can't tell you the number of people who, despite, the fat jokes in public, despite all of these things, listen, men, there is no shortage of men and fat women's DMs. Like, if we could just, if we could just be, if we could just be honest about it.
Let's be real.
Okay. There's no shortage of men, and I'm just saying this because I'm heterosexual. So maybe someone who is interested in same-sex relationships, they can kind of speak on this as well. But there's no shortage of men who like women with big hips, big thighs, big breasts, big butts, big bellies, okay, big chins, whatever. That's there. But because of the stigma that's being put in society about fat people, they don't have the courage to stand up and say, this is what I like. And so when their friends come around and everybody's making fat jokes, they laugh along. Yeah. Okay. But when their friends leave, guess who they're talking to at night?
Exactly.
Guess who they're spending their nights
whose
with?
DMs they sliding into?
Right. So, I think that there is a life of, I think that there's a lot of things to be said about the ways that fat people are treated in society, and how that in a lot of ways is not reflected by how they're treated in private. And so when we start talking about standards of beauty, and I think it sucks on a lot of ways, and I'm not, because fat men are more acceptable in society. But it sucks that people don't have the courage to be like, hey, like, I like her and she makes me happy.
Exactly.
Right? Like, this is the person that I can see me spending the rest of my life with, but I'm going to forgo her because I can't stand to be made fun of in public. And I'm going to take, I'll take the smaller rebound and I'll deal with that and I'll build a family with her.
Right.
Like, no shade to her, no disrespect to her. She just happens to be caught in the crossfire of somebody else's indecision.
A bigger issue.
Right. And that happens. That happens all the time, every single day of our life. Or, the smarter fat person that's getting passed up for a job. Or, that came out, I think it was a few years ago. There was a guy, I think he was a professor. He tweeted online that he would not accept a fat person into a graduate studies because if they didn't have the discipline to take care of their bodies, they wouldn't have the discipline to get a degree.
Wow.
And so when you think about the ways that fat shapes how we think about people, what we think they're capable of, who gets hired, who doesn't get hired, romantic interests, all of these different things, you start to see the ways in which weight stigma negatively impacts people's lives.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm, I think I answered. I think I went on a tangent somewhere, but yeah.
You did all. Yeah. Thank you for that. That was a lot.
That was amazing. That was so awesome.
I love it. It was like an educational rant.
Yeah, like, yeah, so
a few things to talk on about. If we think about, for example, like, I don't know if any of you seen that movie Shallow Hal, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Where he basically, I don't know if you guys in chat have never seen it, he's basically, first of all, Jack Black plays the lead character, and apparently he's so shallow that he only dates women that are quote unquote perfect, right? Including bodies and other stupid ass shit that we don't need to focus on right now. And it turns out that something happens to him where he ends up seeing women or people the opposite of, so he sees them based on the insides, so like if they're a nice person, he sees them as beautiful. If they're a bad person, he sees them as like, disgusting people, whatever. And so he ends up falling in love with a woman that is bigger, and he sees her as this like perfect body, quote unquote, which means like skinny and like, I think she was blonde hair and just all these like stupid ass, big boobs and small waist kind of thing. And everyone else sees her as she really is, which is a bigger woman, and they kind of make fun of him while he's dating her, and they kind of they basically all the stereotypes, they basically shoot him down for dating someone like this and things like that. So it's annoying that we are, as a society, being fed this bullshit of just like, if you're not thin, you're not beautiful, and it's sad because I think as a caretaker and as a future teacher of early childhood, an early childhood educator, I feel as though it's affecting our children. There are children that are as young as 12 or even younger talking. I mean, I had a 5-year-old that I cared for, worried about her being fat, 5 years old, asking her parents, "Oh, am I fat, mom and dad?" Like, this is a problem. And young adolescents and children should not be having to deal with issues of anorexia or bulimia because they feel as though they need to stay within the expectations of society, according to their body. Like, that's not okay, especially because it's dangerous. People die for these things. And there, of course, everyone has their preference. Everyone has their, what they like and what they dislike. But it's important that because you like a particular body, that you don't shit on another kind of body. We come in all different shapes and sizes. There's no way that you can tell me that the one and only standard of beauty is this kind of body. Because, like, no, that's bullshit. You're not going to tell me that I'm not beautiful because I don't look like this, So, yeah. Luca, do you have anything you want to say to that?
Yeah, well, I think the standards of beauty are taught to us from a young age, as you guys were saying before. I know that in certain periods of time, being bigger was considered being more attractive, because if you're bigger, that means you have money for food and, all that stuff, right? So I really don't have that much to say about this. I struggle with body issues, so
yeah,
it's interesting listening to what you guys are saying.
Well, and I think like the flip side to that is that everybody on some level probably struggles with a certain sense of like body issues. I've been fat my whole life. I think the last time I wore something in single digits, I was roughly 7, 9 years old, something like that. And I have, like I said, I have 2 sisters, and they both were small, but they're taller. And so we've had conversations, me and my sisters, we sat down and we talked, and, my older sister pretty much asked me, for lack of better words, like, what happened? Like, what happened to you? And I had to sit and like explain. I said, well, mommy didn't feed me more food than she fed y'all, right? Like, when everybody got sent out to play, we all went out to play, right? I played with y'all. I danced with y'all. We all rode bikes together.
Mm-hmm.
When they hit puberty, they grew up. They got taller. When I hit puberty, my hips spread.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing that I could do about that.
Yeah.
And so living in a family where you are, I'm the middle child. And so, but living in a family where people are smaller around you and people are questioning and asking, okay, well, what is it about your body, or what is it about your metabolism, or these different things? Like, I had to learn, because I was standing by myself, to appreciate what I had.
Mm-hmm.
And to value myself for who I was, despite everything else that's been shown to me. And being in academia and now choosing to study things like this and realizing that there was a whole community of people who also felt the same way. It's interesting. Like, I was not always the person that was like, woo woo, like, you gonna get these thighs, you finna get all of this, right? Like, I wasn't always that person. And I think in 2012, I actually wound up losing a lot of weight. And a lot of weight to me. Like my hips was like, whatever, you do whatever you need to do. Everything else gonna fall. I won't budge. Like my hips was protesting. But I dropped about 40 plus pounds, something like that. And I remember, you know, people, everybody, oh, and then you're beautiful no matter what, right?
Oh,
as long as you're
yes.
smaller, everybody's like, congratulations, and it's great.
Mhm.
And then I watched, slowly but surely, all the weight come back. And it wasn't until I really started to research and actually find that when you lose weight, particularly when you drop weight at fast rates,
Mhm.
your body thinks that you're killing it.
Yep.
Like you're attempting to starve it. And so your body starts to actively work against you,
Mhm.
slows down your metabolism on purpose.
Stores the
And
fat.
so, right. And so what happens so for research, right, for people who need statistics and all that good stuff, what we do know is that based on research, that diets have a 95% failure rate.
Yep.
Okay. Not only that, we know that in research, what's considered long-term is 2 years. And so what does that mean? That means that 95% of individuals who try to lose weight will gain back whatever they lost and more in 2 years or less. People say, okay, but what about weight loss surgery? Well, what we know according to research in weight loss surgery is that the time span changes from 2 years to 5. And so individuals who go off and get weight loss surgery, who get their stomachs chopped off, right, amputated, to make them smaller, not only do they now have a smaller stomach where they have to take supplements for the rest of their life, but they also have gained all their weight back. And so this kind of, leads into these other areas of stigma, right? When we talk about people, healthcare professionals, individuals who are in these type of settings where doctors can't understand why you only have 20% of a stomach and you're 300 pounds. Like, how does that work? Well, because your body is actively working against whatever you have tried to do to make yourself fit into this box of acceptability, right? Because oftentimes a lot of prescriptions that are given to fat people, doctors treat us, just lose the weight.
Yep.
Well, my ankle hurts. Well, your ankle won't hurt as much if you lost weight.
Yep.
I've been having headaches. Well, those headaches are because you need to lose the weight. And so when weight loss becomes the remedy to everything, people go to drastic, you take drastic measures. So yeah, chop off my stomach, put a lap band on it, whatever you got to do, because obviously I have a problem because my body doesn't look like everybody else's. Right? Never mind the fact that all my blood work comes back clean. Never mind the fact that I don't test positive for any diseases, anything like that. It's just the fact that I'm fat that causes you distress. And so again, we have these issues that happen to fat people, and learning how to accept your body in this type of hostile environment just isn't good. I mean, like, when you talk about the shallow how thing, right? Like, okay, so she's seen as this smaller person. And I get what people are saying, right? I get the take home message is like, oh, it's what's on the inside that counts. But can I just be frank and real and honest? Okay. When I stand in the mirror, I see all of me. I love my breasts. I love my hips. Right? I'm not just interested in somebody who's going to be like, she's a nice person. No, dude, I want you to rub these hips, these thighs. Okay. You're going to kiss all over all of this.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm not expecting somebody to look past that and say, oh, but but she's a generous person. Okay. And so is Mother Teresa. But what I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you to love on all of this. Right? The same way I'm going to love on all of your body, right?
Yeah.
The whole, the idea like, oh, she's cute in the face and she's thick in the waist, like all of these sayings that we say. No, like I see myself. I love myself. All these dimples in my butt, I'm going to need you to love them too. Right? And if you're with somebody and they can't do that, right? Then those are things that y'all need to have a heart-to-heart about. Right? I'm accepting my body and it's taken me a long time to do that. So I'm not going to settle for anything less from somebody else. The struggle that, standing in front of the mirror and looking, I mean, if I could tell y'all the ways I used to stare at bodies and be like, oh, their bodies fold like mine's. because the representation isn't there. Like, oh, that's normal. Right.
Yep.
There's so many things that as a fat person, like you walk around and you kind of look and you see and you think like your body doesn't do what everybody else's body does, or, you know, it doesn't look like everybody else's body, but it does. And all women have roles. Most women have stretch marks. Okay. Most women have cellulite.
Mm-hmm.
Even the people who lift weights and all of that other stuff. And so it's like learning to accept who you are. It's a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. Yeah, but man, I just, you know, it's like being fat in society is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And to like I mean, kudos to whoever can pop out and be like, yeah, this is me and I've never had an issue. But for most women, there's even research that says, like, it's in paper, this is what I'm saying, it's published, that most women are dissatisfied with their body.
Yep.
Like, I can cite that and it would be accepted as fact. That means that the majority of women in society do not like their bodies, period.
No matter what size they are.
Right. The smaller ones, the bigger ones, no matter what. And we have to question ourselves in society. Why is that? What messages are people getting? Mm-hmm. Research says that starting at the age of 4, weight stigma starts. So your story was about somebody who was 5.
Yeah.
There are still, I'll never forget, I have a niece. And when she was going to school, she was about 4 years old. She came home or whatever. And, you know, she's beside me and she's like jogging in place and she's wiping her head like she's full of sweat or whatever. And at first I looked at her like, you know, kids are just being kids. Like, what are you doing? And she's jogging, wiping her forehead. And I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, I got to lose weight. The doctor said I got to lose weight.
Wow.
And my niece is 4 years old and she's overhearing what the doctor is telling her mother. Right? Like, she's 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, it's things like that that tell me on some level that we got it messed up.
Yep. My brother is 8 years old. And he often says, and he's been saying this for some time now, and I've tried to have a conversation with my mom about it. Mm-hmm. To sort of have her maybe sit with him and discuss it with him. But he often says that being fat is ugly. He just says it just like that. And he's like, I need to run more so that I can never get fat. Or he'll say things like, oh, I'm skinny, I'm never going to get fat. So that's good. I'll always look good, you know? Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really say it around me anymore. I always have to hear that he said it. But if I ever am there and I hear him say it, or even just randomly, I'll start talking to him about it. And I'll say, you know, like, what makes you think that? You know, and I'll have him try to think critically about it. And it's helped a little. He still has issues with it. But it's just sad to hear a child, you know, think this way. And it's solely based on what's being fed to us all as a society. And let's talk about, you know, ads that we see on television, right? Where oftentimes most of the time the bodies that you see being portrayed are thin bodies, right? But if we do try to, you know, or if people do try to put ads where there are bigger bodies, for example, there's a new wave of body positive ads that are being used now, in particular, Lane Bryant, that's a, you know, clothing company, has been using ads to sort of go against what Victoria's Secret, which is another lingerie company, does, which is basically just put half naked thin women on their television screen. And what they're saying is they call themselves angels, right? And so what do we think of when we think of angels? We think of, you know, these perfect, you know, what people strive to be, to sort of be closer to God, you know, all these positive things. But, you know, all we see are thin bodies, mostly white bodies, but definitely thin bodies. And what Lane Bryant is trying to do, and of course they've gotten, you know, backlash for this too, is basically say that you don't need to look this way in order to be, you know, great. Like, you don't need to be Like, I'm big and I'm beautiful is basically what they're pushing, right? Which is great. I feel like it's great. But a lot of people have felt as though what they're doing is basically just taking advantage of the new, I don't know, fad of being body positive, you know? And I guess we can talk about a little, like, the ads that we see and how we feel like it affects us as people. Have you done any research on that in particular when it comes to ads and the bodies that we see being portrayed as perfect?
Well, I mean, as far as like specific research, not off the top of my head, because that's not my area. But what I will say is that everybody knows on some level that advertisements impact people. That's why they do them. And I think that we can speak to the ways in which, you know, capitalism, I don't think that there's any question about exploitation that happens. So I think like Lane Bryant, for the most part, I mean, if you see something on the billboard, right? This is like one of the things that we get into a lot just in general when we talk about Instagram. So you have Instagram models and you have influencers, right? So if I see Kylie Jenner wearing something, I want to buy it because Kylie Jenner is wearing it. Right. And so it's the same type of idea, you know, when we're talking about this other stuff. When it comes to advertising, it matters who's representing it. It matters who's showing it, the ways in which people are showing it. And I think that what Lane Bryant is trying to do, well, one, Lane Bryant is trying to make money. And so that's one thing. But I think the other thing is that Lane Bryant is trying to promote a different type of reality, right? And by doing so, they are marketing to a different target audience that says that, you know, you don't have to look at yourself as being less than, right? You can be, you know, you can be angelic in your own skin. You don't necessarily have to be white to be angelic. And I think the other part is like, you know, you can also be trendy because for so long, plus size clothing, you know, they were muumuus, right? There was a time when I was growing up in high school, I couldn't go and buy something that didn't have flowers on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even like flowers. Like, why? Who did this? Like, why does everything have to be a flower? Like, why do I look like a garden? So I think over time, because, you know, and not just Lane Bryant, but there's other, you know, other businesses who actually see a market and they actually see plus size individuals as consumers. Yeah. They are now creating clothing for them. But, you know, you still have, you know, you got advertisements everywhere, not just in clothing, but, you know, just campaigns in general. Like, you know, it's always, you know, a skinny body versus a fat body. So a skinny body will run the steps and a fat body takes the elevator. There's campaigns like that. And I think it was like in the New York, there's a college in New York and they kind of did a campaign around that. Like they wanted people to take the steps. And so they kind of contrasted a smaller body with a bigger body, like fat people don't work out, which is a lie from the pit of hell. Yes. There's a lot of fat people who work out. Definitely. There's a lot of fat people who take the stairs. There are fat vegetarians. There are fat vegans. Like this idea that, you know, whatever, like this idea that, you know, fat people are not doing this. And because you don't take the steps, that's why you're fat, right? Because you don't work out or because, you know, because you don't work out, that's why you're fat. When there are fat people who've been working out. Like I said before, I rode bikes with my sisters. I danced with my sisters. I lived a very active lifestyle. And sometimes I was more active than my sisters. It did not change the fact that I was fat. And so there's campaigns like that are being, there's advertisements everywhere on some level.
I feel like there's ways to motivate people that does not require shame. And what people fail to realize is that they feel like this is the best way to do it, but it's not. I mean, right. As an educator and a caretaker at this point, I don't and we are learning this, and we are actually, there's studies that show that shaming does not necessarily make someone or make a child, learn or do something that you want them to do.
Right.
That positive reinforcement is actually what makes them learn and do the things that you want them to do. And so
well, there's research that, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there's research to that when it comes to weight stigma. And so fat shaming does not work.
Mm-hmm.
So when people get fat shamed, what they actually do is they stop working out.
Mm-hmm.
So when you fat shame fat people, they are less active. When you fat shame fat people, they are more likely to emotionally eat.
Right.
They eat what we would consider unhealthy foods. They stop being active because fat shaming makes people feel bad about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you promote them to, when they like their bodies, when they feel good about their bodies, when they feel good about movement, they're more likely to continue doing it. So they're more likely to be active if they feel good about themselves. They're more likely to think about what they want to eat opposed to how they feel in eating out of that instance, right? And so the idea of like, oh, if you shame them, they will change, that doesn't hold water.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I was watching Fat Doctor last night, and it's a show where people who are classified as morbidly obese, it's their journey to lose weight and weight loss surgery and overseas in England or whatever. And one of the person who was doing the weight loss surgery, that episode, she was saying that she went to the store one day and there were these girls who were like, oh, we have to leave the dressing room now because there's not going to be any room, because she walked in. And she took what they said, and she went home and she just ate her feelings, because it was like, she was like, whoa, I'm disgusting, I should not leave the house. And so I don't think fat shaming works. It just makes people feel bad about themselves, even worse about themselves. It's not encouraging. It doesn't encourage people to lose weight. It just makes them eat their feelings, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I feel like it's important. It's important for us all as people to realize that because we are hearing these things, like, people, you shouldn't always believe the news. You shouldn't always believe what you see. Do some research, because nowadays, like, people will feed you propaganda in order to benefit something or someone else, right? So you always have to be skeptical about the things that you hear or see, especially on all forms of media, because it's not gospel. Like, what you're hearing and seeing is not always the facts. And I feel like you should probably apply that to everything. Just say it. Yes, I when I was in school, I was taking a lot of women and gender studies courses, and there was this one, and I'll link it down below for everyone to see, but there was this one woman in particular who did a lot of research, and she actually did documentaries. Her name is Margaret Lazarus. She basically looked critically at the advertising industry, right? And she took into account, I mean, of course, other aspects of it where women are objectified and things like that. But just like, she found that the advertising companies are lowering women's self-esteem. And a lot of it has to do with these bodies that are being portrayed. And of course, she focused on women, but we can talk about everyone, all people, all the big people that are watching these ads and seeing like men with muscular figures or women with skinny bodies being portrayed as like, this is what you need to be. And what's so frustrating about that is that people oftentimes are isolated, and they don't realize, like, real people, and of course, like, yes, these people are real. And we can talk about models and the issues that they may go through in order to appease, you know, to get these jobs, right? And celebrities and things like that. But like people in your day-to-day don't necessarily look like that, right? There are different kinds of bodies, different shapes, different sizes, different colors that are not being shown on television. And I feel like it's important, and I feel like there are ways that you can find, you know, people that look like you. Me personally, growing up, I struggled with things like that because I developed when I was younger really early. And so I was pretty much harassed, because we need to call it what it is. I mean, as a child, I didn't know it was that. I thought it was just me being made fun of, but it was definitely harassment by other children and older children my age, children older, in different, you know, grades, about my body and like the way it looked, because I had bigger boobs or a bigger butt than other kids my age, or other women, or I mean other girls my age. Oh my god. And so that shit is annoying, you know? Like, I don't understand why people feel the need to point out people that look different, you know? And growing up, I was always the skinnier one, you know, from me and my sisters. And then as we gotten older, I've gotten bigger. My sisters have gotten bigger, but I'm still like smaller than they are. And so I see them struggle with like things like their size, especially when we go to family events where people would be saying things like, when people say things like, oh, you lost so much weight, oh, that's so amazing, you look great. And then like if my sisters haven't for whatever reason lost weight this time, they'll be like, oh, you need to lose weight. And I'm just like, why are you doing that? You know, like it's so annoying. It's so frustrating. Why do you feel the need to point out when someone has or hasn't, you know, lost weight or gained weight or just anything like that? It's just not your business. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's frustrating.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like, you know, particularly when we talk about, I mean, I just think human nature in general, but we've been taught, in at least in this country, like we point out difference, right? Like if anybody remembers Sesame Street, right?
Yep.
One of these things are different from the other. One of these things, but the rest of the song is, one of these things do not belong.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get accustomed to pointing out what doesn't belong.
Yeah.
She's small, she's fat. The fat one doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
She's short, she's tall. The tall one doesn't belong. And depending on where you fall in the hierarchy of society determines what's going to be accepted and what's not going to be accepted. And that's how we typically, you know, I think in this country have not learned. Look, we talk about diversity, but we don't understand inclusion. And so we know that people are different, but we don't know how to include people without taking it personally. So I can't tell you that you have pretty eyes without me saying that my eyes are not as pretty as yours. Like there's way too much comparison that happens, I think, in this country. And as a result, like I can't shine, like me and you can't both shine at the same time. Only me's can shine, which means all of yous are rejected, right? And I think like that's part of it, because we don't know how to really deal with difference, because we don't deal with difference. We shun it, we throw it away, we trash it, we talk bad about it. And we kind of normalize what we want to see, and we reproduce what we want to see. And as a result, you know, anybody who doesn't look like mainstream stuff is what gets tossed to the wayside.
Yeah. It's just so frustrating when we recognize the issue, right? And, you know, there are people that recognize the issue because there's research being done on this. But right. It's still something that just won't be changed, you know? And there are people, I mean, there was this woman, I don't remember her name or anything, but she made a video and it went viral, basically fat shaming people and talking about how people that are fat are lazy and they need to work out and all this silly nonsense. And of course, I think she did it for attention, you know, whatever. Like, you'll get YouTube
She
views.
did. Her channel was dying. Her channel wasn't doing that
Oh,
well.
so you heard
she
about
did
it
for attention.
There you go.
Yeah, I did.
So, like, something like that, right? Where it's like, and then, but the problem with that is that, first of all, like, can we, like, giving someone attention when they're obviously looking for attention is so stupid. Like, can you just not? Can we just ignore people like this, please? But her video going viral says a lot about, first of all, what we're being shown, right? Because if it went viral, that means millions of people had to see it and millions of people had to hear the bullshit that's coming out of her mouth. But I don't know if anyone ever went and read the comments, but there are so many people that were agreeing with her.
Sure.
You know, and that right there is like, that is a little concerning, because to think, of course, like, people show their true feelings on the internet because anonymity, like, of course, like, you know, you hide behind the screen name. No one knows who you are. But if people really feel like this deep down, how many experiences can you say that a person who's bigger, like, will have to face because people feel like this? You know what I mean? Like, no one wants to know. A lot of people don't admit the fact that there is discrimination when it comes to bigger bodies. It doesn't only have to do with race and, you know, I mean, of course, it that happens too. So let's not, you know, ignore that. But, like, there is definitely discrimination that has happened with, you know, bigger bodies and people that don't necessarily are thin. Like, I'm not a thin person, and people have most definitely treated me differently because of that, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not a pleasant experience to be treated differently based off of anything that's, you know, different about you. Like, that shit's fucked up, man. No one wants to go through that. And I don't know, I get angry when I talk about these kinds of things, just because I feel like a lot of the time it just seems so unjust, you know?
Right. Well, my whole, that being, like, anytime you can make a whole podcast about, like, the things that, like, being fat in this society, like, the things that you have to go through, I think that says that it's been a problem for a long time. It's just that, you know, in so many ways, you know, like, you know, fat people being the trope in films, like, there's so many things that have been normalized about bigger bodies, right? So it's okay to laugh at them, and it's okay to make jokes about them, and it's, you know, and some comedians have, I mean, that was their career. They were the fat funny person. And so you see the ways that things have been, you know, normalized. I think, what was it last week, the whole thing with Usher had happened?
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody said they couldn't believe that Usher was with the girl that he was with because she was fat. Like, whatever. Okay. The majority of men who have ever approached me, my boyfriend now, he has to be roughly 180 soaking wet. And he has a six pack, and he has muscles, and just the idea that, like, fat people are not deserving of certain things in society because their body disqualifies them of such. Like, there's a lot of, you know, just a lot of things, a lot of hardships that have been afforded to fat people for their body size. Like, you know, I can't even say, like, well, I'm not that big. Like, I'm fat, okay? And living, walking, breathing my whole life as a fat person, being on campus, not being able to fit in certain, like, the auditorium size seating. And I'm thinking, you know, I was TAing for a class, but there are students who are bigger than me. Like, how do y'all sit in classes and take notes? Like, there are things that are happening to people who have larger size bodies. Like, they pay to go to school too, but they can't. How are they going to attend class? Where are they supposed to sit? Are they supposed to be uncomfortable for over an hour? Should they just suck it up and take it? Like, there's just a lot of things that are not accommodatable, and people feel like they're going, you know, they're going out of their way to make people more comfortable. Like, because they have to buy bigger chairs or, you know, different things like that. So I think the discrimination against bigger bodies have been happening for forever.
Yeah.
You know, ever since it was no longer, you know, the first they call it a fat-in. So the first fat-in that ever happened was in the 60s. And it was actually in Central Park where fat people showed up and they protested. They ate ice cream and they burned diet books and pictures of Twiggy and different things like that to kind of highlight the type of treatment that they were getting, having bigger bodies. So when we talk about fat liberation has been around for over 40 years. And so this is not necessarily a new phenomenon that's happening. I think it's being repurposed and definitely being made more palatable when we talk about body positivity, for different bodies. But fat people have been saying for a long time, like, hey, we're being discriminated against.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not being treated like everybody else. But because it was acceptable and is still in a lot of ways still acceptable, you know, people just typically ignore us.
That's really interesting. I didn't know about the 60s. Man, that's really interesting. It's funny because a lot of the things that are going on now are getting a lot of attention because of what we have now, like the internet and social media and all that stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, and I think there's been a resurgence because of like bloggers being able to put out their stories in print and different things like that. So news is spreading a lot faster because of those reasons, and it's bringing more attention. But NAFA was the first, like the first fat acceptance organization that was created. And that was patterned after the NAACP. So it's NAAFA. And so the guy who created NAFA actually kind of modeled it off of the NAACP during that time because he watched his wife get fat shamed.
Wow.
And, you know, so if we're talking about, you know, here's another thing, if we're talking about, you know, what it means to have allies or people standing in the gap, you don't necessarily have to be fat to advocate for fat people, right? You just got to know that what fat people are experiencing, they shouldn't be experiencing. And so he kind of stood in the gap because of the things that he's seen his wife go through. And he created an organization that would help fight against weight discrimination. So it's like, you know,
yeah,
it's like, you know, it's a lot. And I mean, you know, and we sit and we have conversations about it, but living in this world as a fat person, and we have what we call super fats. So those are individuals, you know, those are the people that you typically, you know, 400 plus pound individuals, or, you know, when people want to talk about the extremes of what it means to be fat, those are the people that they typically show, right? But I think the statistics say that 66% of people in the United States are currently either overweight or obese. So what we do know is that heavier people make up the majority of this country, but it does not change the fact that they are being discriminated against. And so, you know, me personally, I can still walk into a store and buy a size 22, a size 24, a size 20, and I'm okay. But there are people who are larger than me who don't have that same, they don't have that benefit. And those people typically are the people who need to be fought for more so, because those are the people who need the most services. Those are the people who get taken pictures, you know, the people in Walmart, right? They take pictures of them and then they post them on the internet. Those are those people, right? Most people are not, seeing me in Walmart is not, you know, a phenomenon. Seeing somebody who's 400, 500 pounds in Walmart, those are the people that typically get pictures taken without their consent, and gets them plastered all over the internet. So again, even being a fat person myself, I can still advocate for people who have it worse than me, who are experiencing discrimination in ways that I may never see in my lifetime, even though I'm also fat. And so, you know, there's a lot of dimensions to this. There's a lot of, you know, just a lot of things that are happening with people who have bigger bodies, kids. I mean, parents are getting their kids taken away from them. And I mean, just based on the merit of like somebody's too fat.
Wow.
Somebody, I don't think that they're caring for them. So now they're not good parents. Like, never mind issues of genetics. Never mind, we're not going to talk about the way that, classism plays a part in what food is being available. You talked about advertisements earlier. There was a study that came out that said McDonald's, KFC, all of them, they market to poor people.
They are in the poor neighborhoods.
Right. When we talk about demographics, the majority of people who they say are overweight or obese are poor people.
Yep.
And so when we are thinking about the ways that we talk about fat, talk about nutrition, talk about health, and talk about bodies, you can't just be like, oh, calories in, calories out. That's all that it is. It's so much more than that.
Yep.
So much more than that. And there's so many more layers to the ways that we look at bodies and who's deemed to be good or bad. So
yeah, definitely it's a big topic, and I hope that some of you listening are able to get enlightened by our conversation here, because people are people, you know what I mean? Like, there's no reason why you should. And also think about how you think about these things, right? Because if you yourself have particular thoughts on a particular body, you may not realize it, but you may be treating someone differently based on those subconscious thoughts that may be, happening. So us talking about this is not only to bring information to the table and to enlighten people, but it's also to get you thinking about it and to think about what you may feel about this particular topic, so that you can maybe evaluate that and sort of change it if you need, or if you don't want to change it, that's cool. I mean, I'm just saying, if you do what you want. But no, it's important. It's important to talk about these things, and I'm really glad we were able to have this conversation. But yeah, let's move on. We are gonna do our next segment. And our next one is Fuck That Shit, where we tell you guys what we absolutely hated this week, or, in general. And sometimes you guys laugh. Sometimes we get into rants. That's how it is. Luca, what's your fuck that shit this week?
Well, okay, so okay, I'm glad my sister's not in the room because it's about her. So I was talking to Foxy a couple of nights ago, right? And we were just having like a general discussion and watching something or playing a game or something, whatever, right? Anyway, my sister, she comes to me and she's like, hey, can you move your car? And I'm like, because I had to park in front. Okay, listen, my family has like 6 cars, right? I have 2 cars. My mom has 2 cars. My grandma has 2 cars, right? My sister uses my mom's car to get around because she just got her license. So the thing of it is, our neighbor's garage is like wrecked. So I had to park my car in front of my mom's car. So so nothing would happen to it, So I parked, and it's like 12 o'clock, right? Like 12 a.m., like 12 a.m. And she's asking me if I can move my car. And I'm looking at her like, nah, fam, it's not happening. And then she's like, can you please just move your car? Because I got to get up early tomorrow. And I'm like, you can just wake me up early tomorrow. It's fine, because I'm going to be up anyway. Like, I don't sleep well anymore. She's like, well, no, why can't you just move your car? I'm like, why can't you just wake me up in the morning? If you have something to do tomorrow, just wake me up. I'll move it then. Like, I'm not leaving my house at 12 in the morning to fucking move my car, fam. It's not happening. And then, she just gets huffy, and then she walks out the room. And then she comes back a minute later, and she's like, can you move your car? Because I have to go pick up Emiliano's friend. And Emiliano's our brother, right? First of all, my brother is like a fucking hoodlum. And I don't know, I know my sister. She would not be doing anything to help my brother's friends, his hoodlum friends, right? So I'm looking at her, and I have to mute my mic so Foxy doesn't hear me bitching about what's about to happen. And I'm just like, what are you really doing? What are you actually doing? Like, what are you going out to do? Because you just came with a different story to get me to move this car. So what's happening? And then she's all like, well, why is it any of your business? I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, okay. If it's not my business, I'm not moving my fucking car. And then she's like, just move your car. Like, I'm asking you nicely to move your car. I'm like, well, I'm asking you what you're doing because I'm not going to inconvenience myself if you're not going to tell me the truth. If you're lying to me. And she's all like, well, it doesn't, this doesn't have anything to do with you. It's my business. I'm like, okay, well, listen, I don't care what my siblings do. Like, I know that they do drugs and they drink and all that stuff, right? Like, I know this. I don't care what they do. As long as it doesn't interfere with what I'm doing. As long as it doesn't affect me, they can do whatever they want. But this is something that affects me. So I'm like, I'm not moving my car. And so she just gets really huffy and she's just like, God, you're such a fucking brat. And I'm like, okay. And so she leaves the room and like our mom comes up to get the keys to the car. She's like, okay, I'm going to move your car. And I'm like, all right, just know that her and Emiliano, like they're lying to you because Autumn came with a different story to get me to move this car. And then when I asked her what she was actually doing, she just said, it's none of your business. So, I just like, fuck that shit. Like, I don't understand my siblings at all. Do I look like an idiot? Like, my brother one time tried to get me to take him to the store. He's like, I got to go get some orange juice. But he wanted to go to a specific store in a specific place. And I'm like, are you going to get drugs? Is this the place that you get drugs from? He's like, oh. And I'm like, listen, I'm not taking part of this, fam. I'm not taking you. Like, no. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with my siblings, but they need to get their shit together and stop, just stop this.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. That happens often where like your family is interesting.
Oh,
I mean, all families are, but
you mean fucked up? Yeah, my family's pretty fucked up.
I'm just like, yo, there's always something going on, like, suspect.
Yeah, I mean, my siblings are fucking. No one listens to me, and they don't listen to me, and my mom doesn't do anything about it. So there's no point in me getting worked up and trying to help them because they don't want my help. So I know it sounds harsh when I say, well, they can do drugs and all that shit as long as it doesn't affect me. But it's like I tried for years to help them, and I didn't have any help helping them. Like, my mom wouldn't do anything. So now it's like, well, whatever. Like, if you don't care, then I'm not going to care either. Like, I tried to be a good sister, but they don't think I'm a good sister. They don't like me, so it is what it is.
Oh man, I hope that works out though, cause like I like you.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, unfortunately. No, I'm just kidding.
Can't tell most of the time, to be perfectly honest.
What? I am the nicest person you have ever met in your entire life.
That is absolutely not true.
No,
okay.
I'm so nice. Oh man. Oh, so Joy, what is your fuck that shit this week?
I think it'd be one and the same. That student,
like, she's still hung up on it. Like, nah, that student though.
I mean, the fact that he like texted you or wrote you or emailed you again.
Sent me a message like, "Can I redo?" What? Like, really?
Oh my
like
God.
really? I'm like, really? I'm like, this is like a travesty. I don't hate students, but I'm telling you, like, this is not what you want. Like, I just don't get it. So it's going to be one and the same. Because that's all I've done for the past week. I teach these classes and I write papers and this just takes the cake. I can't believe, like, he really sent me an email. Like, can I redo? Like, all your work. You want to redo the whole session's worth of work. And you want me to regrade it? Okay. All right, sir. Okay.
Oh shit, that's funny.
So that's my thing. I don't really have nothing. I don't have nothing else. That's how I feel. This is ridiculous. Somebody should give me a bonus. I wonder if anybody from Rutgers listens to this show. Can somebody write me an extra? Can I get an extra $1,000 or so for like pain and suffering? hardship, time, something. This is ridiculous.
Oh my god.
But I digress. That would be my thing.
That's hilarious. I don't understand. Like that student has so much nerve. Just saying. But so let's talk about people. Look, you guys, I already said it. Like, this week has been quite interesting. I don't understand why people are getting on my nerves. Like, everyone wants to test me. But yeah, I had a situation recently where people were basically like, and this happened all in Discord. So, you know, yeah, people are basically starting issues with me and trying to speak to me a particular way as if it's something that I would allow. I mean, come on, why do you think that no? So I'm the type of person, I'm pretty confrontational when it comes to when it bothers me enough. For the most part, for the most part, I'll let it, like, whatever. I'll say something slick and I'll just be like, whatever, it's not worth it. But like, if you say some look, basically, someone told me to mind my business, right? I don't need to concern myself with something that they're doing, right? And I'm here like, are you bitch? The reason why I'm concerning myself is because I need to know in order to do this particular thing. So if you're telling me to mind my business, first of all, I don't give a fuck. People try to excuse it like, oh, that person talks a particular way, you know, it's gonna happen. I don't give a fuck what country you're from. Motherfucker, mind your business is mind your business no matter what language you speak. Okay? So I'm gonna ask you one time and one time only, what the fuck is your problem with me? Please tell me. Like, I wasn't playing. I got into the voice chat in Discord because they were in there, and I was just like, yo, like, what is it? Like, what is it? Just like, what is it? Dude, because, like, I'm not about this life. You're not going to speak to me this way and get away with it and think that it's okay. Because guess what? Like, I'm not the one. Like, you may be able to speak like that to people that you associate yourself with, and they may allow it. But, like, me, myself, and I, like, right here in front of you right now, like, nah, this ain't happening. So I'm going to ask you again. Because I've done this before with him, and I was just like, you know, is there a problem? Can we work it out? So I'm going to ask you again, but I'm going to ask you like a fucking hood bitch. What the fuck is the problem, right? And there were other people in there, and like other people started talking for him, and I'm like, but I'm not talking to you. But I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to this motherfucker right here. So why are you answering his questions? And I'm just like so annoyed. Like, why the fuck would you start trouble with me and like not be able to say anything back, right? Or like, why are you quiet now, bitch? Huh? I don't understand. Like, you had so much to say earlier, but now you want to be quiet and let other people fight your battles for you. Like, I don't... Dude. You cannot talk shit and not handle it later. This is not happening. Shit. It's not. Like, if you're going to talk shit to someone, be very sure that you can back it up later when they confront you about it. Okay? That is what I have to say. And fuck that shit. Fuck all of it. Fuck that guy. Fuck it all. Fuck all of it.
She's like, fuck everyone. Fuck you. Fuck all of you except for me.
Exactly. Quotes from Luca. Fuck the guys that were trying to back him up in the stupid Discord voice. Fuck the guy that decided he thought he could talk to me in particular way and get away with it. Fuck the other guys that were acting like, oh, it's no big deal, like excusing his bullshit behavior. Fuck all of you. You guys can take this finger and fuck it. Fuck.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have to say. I don't appreciate that. And if I ask you something like, what if I'm asking you what's wrong and you don't tell me, then I expect that there's nothing wrong. Okay? That is all, folks. I appreciate you listening to me, and yeah. Let's Jesus Christ. Like, I don't understand. I just don't. All right. So that's our fuck that shit for the week. I think you know, there's some things that we have to deal with sometimes that, guys, like we don't appreciate the bullshit. So let's move on to our next segment. Now it is But Why Though, where we tell you the silly things that happen to us throughout the week or another time. I'm like, let me put a smile on now. God, I got that out of my system. Jesus. Yeah, that was good. That was good. See, this show, it does a lot of good for us, you know, because if I didn't have this show, I think I would have, like, you know, taken out this anger on someone that probably did not deserve it. Like, you know, my next segment that I will be talking about, which as soon as it happened, I thought in my head, I was like, oh, speak. Do I have something for you? I was on the bus, of course. Always on the bus. And I'm just sitting there in my seat. I'm in one of those single seats, so you know it's pretty cool. It's nice. I'm alone. No one's bothering me, and I'm in the single seat that's kind of like in the back near the door. So there's like this little vent thing that's next to me, and someone thought that it was a great idea to just sit their ass on this vent thing that I'm sitting next to. And I'm like, dude, look, lady, do you know that that's not a seat? Because that's a vent. Like, what's happening? Whatever. She's sitting there. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to turn this way to try to sort of ignore her. Guys, I kid you not. This lady takes out her, like, napkin or something that she has in her hand. She starts coughing and she starts hacking up something from the back of her throat. And then she starts blowing her nose, but like not into the tissue. For some reason, the tissue is on the side of her nose, and there's shit coming out of her nose onto the floor. Guys,
dude, that's disgusting.
Shit coming out of her nose onto the floor. I'm like, what is she doing right now? And everyone's looking at her, like, kind of just like, oh my God, like, is this really happening? And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, like, what the fuck? And I was like, if this lady lets some boogers get up on me, I'm about to fight somebody. Like, I was ready. My fists were balled up. Like, I am not playing games. You will not be letting your disgusting ass boogers get on me. Like, what is this shit? And she's just like, hack, like, sneeze, like, or whatever the fuck she was doing, making some weird ass, disgusting ass, like, ugh. And I'm just like, what are you doing? But why, though? But why? But why do you do this to me? Why? I thought I was safe. I thought I was in the single seat and, like, away from everyone and just, you know, solitary, just like here, just like calm and chill. And I was almost at my stop and I was like, yes, I'm gonna get off. It was a great bus ride. No, someone just had to sit down next to me and ruin it, right? And you have a tissue. Why are you not using your tissue? Like, put the tissue over your nose, not on the side of your nose. Come on. Oh, I can't. All right, sorry. So that happened. But why?
You and your public transportation stories always kill me.
It just seems like it's just out to get me. It just seems like there's just like something in the universe that's just like, you know what, we're just gonna make every single ride that you take some bullshit. But you know what? I thought of you guys and I was like, I need to tell them about this shit. And I'm glad I got that off of my chest.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Speak is like it's an outlet. A lot of anytime some bullshit happens to me during the week now, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be great for material for Speak.
Oh my God. That was just so disgusting. I hope that never happens again. I hope I never see that woman again. People were looking at me too. They were like, wow, lady. Like, they were just looking at me like, oh, feel bad for you. And then she ended up getting up and moving. And I was like, ha, good for you guys. Heh. Now you get a little of what I had to deal with. And it's so funny because everybody was looking at her on the bus like, what the hell is she doing? Lord, help me, please. What's your but why, though, Luca?
All right, well, so I get a lot of support and a lot of love from the community that I'm in. And it's awesome, right? It's awesome. But every now and then, I get some people who don't seem to know who the fuck I am and think it's okay to try and play with me. Ever since I started this podcast called RDX, and ever since I've been on that show, I've gotten a lot more. I got more followers and all that stuff on Twitter, but I've also gotten some more bullshit because I thought at this point in my time on Twitter that people would know better than to fuck with me, but I suppose not. Like, I guess not, because these people don't actually know me. They came from one certain place, so they don't know my reputation as a bitch. Okay, they don't know.
Oh
So,
my god.
there's this one guy who was like in the RDX chat, right? And he was like saying some really vile things throughout the podcast, just saying like really disgusting, like just sexually, like trying to sexually harass me, right? And he was blocked from there, and it was whatever, you know. And I was like, okay. He showed up in Xbox Nation chat. I was like, Crappy, can you block this guy? And he did, because he's my dude. Like, Crap is my dude. He's like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, all right, okay. I never have to deal with this guy again, right? Tell me why. Tell me why I get a tweet on Twitter, and it's from the same guy, and he's just like, hey, guess what? I'm here. Surprise. And I'm like, oh my fucking god. Okay. I was like, you know what? All right. I'm just gonna mute this guy so I don't have to see his tweets. He doesn't know that like I muted him and all that stuff, right? And then a few days ago, I'm having a conversation with someone else, and apparently the guy is like responding to both of us, and I'm like, oh my god. So I go to the guy's like Twitter page to see what exactly he's saying, right? And he's all like, "This bitch Luca, she's cuckoo. She needs that dick." And I was like, okay,
Oh my
well,
gosh.
I was like, okay. And I decided just to block him. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I talked to the other guy who was in the conversation. I'm like, don't talk to that guy. He's a fucking weirdo. He's been like sexually harassing me and all this stuff. He's like, oh shit, sorry. And I'm like, nah, it's like whatever. But it's just like, but why though? Like, why? Like, what is that? Like, ew, what is that? Like, what is that? Like, why would you? Yo,
You guys
like,
need to chill.
yo?
You guys need
Like,
to
I
get
don't
your shit
understand.
together.
He came from a fucking podcast chat, made himself a Twitter under the same name just so he could harass me. I'm like baffled, really. Like, who has that much time on their hands? I don't understand anything that's happening ever anymore. But I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, I don't feel like arguing with any of you. I don't feel like explaining to any of you how you fucked up or how what you're doing is wrong. I'm just gonna mute you, ignore you, or block you.
Yep.
So this is a warning to everyone. If you come at me with some fuck shit, I'm blocking you. Okay?
Okay. You best learn today. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, people, y'all need to stop being so strange. Like, I understand some things, you know, because we all kind of have different levels of maturity. And so, fine. But like that shit's not cool. You know? There's some shit that's just not cool. Okay?
Yeah, I really don't understand that. Like, what it, like, what? Like, why would, what? I don't understand. Like, why are you sending like sexually harassing comment? Girls don't like it when you send those kind of comments, guys. Like, if you're not in a relationship with a girl and have like established consent, if you tell a girl like, oh, you want to suck my dick, you want to ride my dick, like my dick's so big, like, you know, all that stuff, right? That's not, it's not cute, and the girl doesn't like it. She probably thinks you're a fucking weirdo and a creep, and she wants nothing to do with you. You know, don't be fucking weird. Stop being such a fucking weirdo. God, like, even if you're friendly with someone and you send that kind of shit, they're gonna look at you sideways like, what? Bruh, like, what makes you think this is okay? People do things where I'm like sitting there contemplating, like, what made you think that was okay to do or say? Like, what was going through your head when you decided to type out that stuff? I don't understand. And then when they're like, oh, calm down.
Oh my God.
Don't tell me to calm down. Don't tell me to relax. Do not tell me to chill. Because if I'm saying something to you, chances are I am calm, relaxed, and chill. Because that is my state of being, is calm, relaxed, and chill. I don't get worked up about shit until someone says something fucking stupid. So if I'm like, hey, don't say that. He's like, God, chill. I'm like, okay. Don't tell me what to do. And don't assume my emotions. You're assuming I'm upset just because I'm telling you, hey, I don't like this. Don't do it. You know, don't assume how I'm feeling. Don't fuck it, and do not tell me what to do. No one is allowed to tell me to relax or chill or just calm down. No one is allowed to say that to me. And like there are certain people who, if they did say it, I'd be like, but then I'd be like, all right, perhaps I should chill. But it's like even like one of my best friends, I like blew up over something stupid and like overreacted. He came to me. He's like, I'm not one to normally tell you that, to calm down or anything, but I really think you should think about what you just did. And that's the way you should go about it, like say, hey, perhaps think about what you just did and said. Don't be like, calm down. Don't be like, chill. None of that. Don't fucking say that. Do not say that to me. Okay? I'm just PSA. I'm letting all of you know. Say that shit to me and I'm going to be like, what did you just say to me? What? I don't know what you thought this was, sir, but it's not. So, yeah. Anyway, stop being weird, guys.
Yeah, please stop. Appreciate that. Thanks. Guys and gals. And everything in between. Jesus Christ. So yeah, but why though? Joy, I don't know if you wanna partake.
But why though? Okay, so I guess
Joy's like, but like, why did that student email me?
Right. So I guess I do have a small but why though, but it was more like it's more with equipment than it is with people per se. So I was teaching one of my classes. They had exams on Thursday and I had to print out the exams for them or whatever. So I print out the exams, I get to the classroom, I'm handing out the exams or whatever, and like there's not enough exams for all the students. So, like you have that moment of panic because like I can't leave a classroom. And so like my niece was there because she spent some time in the summer with me. So I had to literally, like, she had to proctor the exam while I ran to go make copies. However, I know the number that I put into the copying machine for it to print out the copies it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So I'm asking myself, like, how did the printer just decide, like, no, this was good enough? Like, I'm going to just print out this many and then, like, I'm going to stop and we was good. I went to go get the thing. Wasn't no sirens. It wasn't no alerts on the printer. Like, there was a paper jam or nothing. It just, like, print and stop. So, like, I'm, like, short 4 or 5 exams. And like I'm panicking because I'm like, they only have a certain amount of time to take the exam. Now I gotta extend time to people. I don't want people having conversations while I'm not there looking, all of this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, but why though? Like Mr. Xerox, Ken, like you've been doing your job all this time. Like why you decide not to finish? Like why didn't you give your all like you were supposed to and print out the papers? Right? Boy. So that would be my but why those story because I really didn't understand it and I did print them out. I mean, we ain't gonna talk about the scores on the exam.
Oh gosh.
Another reason why I'm hanging up my teaching. But all I'm saying is, but why though? Like why? Why try to make me look like I'm incompetent? Like it's not worth it. Not worth it.
Lord. Yeah, the machines they will get you. They don't care.
Apparently so. They don't care if you need a job or not.
They don't give a fuck about us.
Right. Went on a lunch break in the middle of printing my papers.
Damn. That's just hilarious. But yeah. that was funny. All right. Well, let's get into our next segment. This is, of course, where we let you all know where you can find us because now it is the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate you, Joy. Let us know where we can find you.
Oh, okay. So there's quite a few places. I'm on Facebook, so you can find me under Fresh Out the Cocoon. That's my podcast. So that's my Facebook page. Fresh Out the Cocoon also has a discussion page on Facebook that we talk about different episodes after they air. I'm also on Instagram at Fresh Out the Cocoon. I'm on Twitter at FOTC_podcast. I also have a online store where I sell merch for plus size women, which is freshoutthecocoon.com. And then the podcast can be found on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Google Play, Spreaker Radio. I need to upload my stuff on YouTube. My apologies for not being there yet. And who else? Oh, and Apple Podcasts.
Nice. Yeah, it was like, the show was great. I really do appreciate you being here.
It was great being here with you guys talking and everything. It was
you had
wonderful.
so much information. It was awesome. Yeah, we definitely, all her links are going to be down below, so definitely go check her out. It's great for us to have people on the show that are not, part of the gaming community on YouTube. So it was super exciting to have found you. And I hope you had fun. Luca, where can we find you?
You can find me at TheAshenLuca on Twitter, and you can catch me on RDX Podcast on Dealer Gaming Channel. It is a gaming podcast, so yeah. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who hung out with us in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping by, Crappy, Foxy, Orbital, Neverland. All you guys you're awesome. We appreciate the continued support. And I just want to say, Joy, thank you so much for being on. You were very insightful, and you had so much to say and so much insight. It was great. So thank you so much for everything.
Yeah,
thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, you guys know that I do stream on Twitch all the time, so definitely throw me a follow on there if you are interested. I'm on Twitter. I do have a Discord if you want to join, where the drama does not go down. I was definitely talking about a different Discord. And yeah, you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page too, Speak Podcast, so that's great. And all these links are going to be down below, so feel free to click whichever one you want. I do want to tell you all that we are taking call-ins or voicemails if you want it. We posted on Twitter a little bit about it, so if you feel that you want to have your voice heard on the show, definitely send a little voice memo to our email, and we are able to play that on the show when we decide to do our little get together show for everyone to be heard. I feel that it should be super simple. If you voice record yourself on your computer, on your phone, you can email it to speakpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, this is posted on Twitter, but I will post it down below too. And you can share with us stories. You can share, ask us some advice if you would like, or you can even just tell us how much you love us, because yeah, we know you do. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are definitely appreciated.
Yeah, and also I don't want to miss anyone, so also shout out to Cyrus and Jakey, Slick. Who else?
Everyone that always Orbital,
everyone who always shows up,
Crappy,
Supervillain. Yeah, all of you guys rock. We always appreciate you. Hopping in the chat with us, hanging out with us for a couple hours. It's dope. It's dope. And Stick as well. Thanks for stopping by, bro. I know you're going to work, but I appreciate you coming by.
We really do appreciate everyone that shows up for us. If you guys are able to leave some thumbs up, and if you're listening to this later and you're not here live, come through live if you can make it. We do have a live chat, and there's lots of fun in the live chat. But if you are not here live, definitely throw some comments below so we can hear from you and see the wonderful names of the people that listen. We appreciate all of you, and we hope to see you next week. And that is all.
Yeah, hope so. Thank you.
Right. Bye.
Bye.